Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pylon Show, episode number 141. We've been gone for a while, not because I was lazy, guys, but the first week, obviously, we had the DreamHack Masters going on. 6 days tournament going throughout the entire day. I simply couldn't host the show. The second week, normally I would have maybe been able to host one, even though I was still in Sweden, but I was stuck at the Muslims' place somewhere in a forest in Gothenburg, and it wasn't quite the setup that I felt really comfortable running a Pylon Show from. So I said, you know what, we'll just wait for a week. And after that, we'll come back and we'll go over everything that has happened in the world of esports because it's been a very wild 2 weeks and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. There's even a couple of things in the pipeline that haven't been announced yet. The TLDR is a lot of StarCraft has happened, and even more StarCraft is going to happen. And we're going to talk a little bit about all the good and the bad that has happened over the last 2 weeks. And I've got an all-French lineup for today. Now, j'ai parlé un petit peu français, but we're going to keep it in English. Let's kick things off with the man who's been streaming a little bit as well. I'm super happy that he decided to join us. LeDrogo, what's up?
Hello, I'm great. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, that's it.
Are we pumped up for the upcoming DreamHack Masters seasons? Because I know that you absolutely love the format.
Yes, I am. And also because, and we're going to talk about it later, I guess, because so many foreigners are winning the DreamHack final things, there's a lot of spots for European now. So me and my friend MarineLorD right here, we can actually make it to Katowice now because there's like 9 spots, I think, for European. So pretty hyper trying my best to make it to Katowice.
That's a good point. Never thought about it, but I do know that literally every single season finals up to this point has been won by a foreigner. So we'll touch on that a little bit later. Next up, a man who has definitely been on the Pylon Show, but we haven't seen him in a long time, and I'm so happy he decided to join us. My good mon ami, Le Funka. How are you doing, matey?
I'm doing really good. Really happy to be back and happy to see all those familiar faces. You know, the French lineup, as you said, like it makes me happy. You know.
Funka, of course, has been casting StarCraft 2 in French and English for a long, long time. Works for O Gaming, also streams on his own channel. Once upon a time, the best observer in the world, but eventually he decided he had a face for video, not a mouse for observing. And you know what, Funka, I agree. Looking as good as ever. And last but not least, the man who actually doesn't like talk shows, but because he's so sweet to me, he decided to help us out one more time because everybody else is either busy, they're training, they're traveling. I don't know what's happening with all the StarCraft nerds around the world, but I do know that Alexi decided to make some time for us. Le MarineLorD, Le Genius, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing fine.
Alrighty, thank you so much for joining us again. I actually casted a little bit with MarineLorD yesterday, Funka. Do you know that?
Yeah, I know. I think he shared a story about one of my games from yesterday, but I didn't catch the exact moment. People were saying in the O Gaming chat, MarineLorD is talking about you, but I got in a little bit too late.
I heard it was the most undeserved loss against Void Ray All-In of all time. The guy fucked up everything that he possibly could imagine, but then he flew Void Rays in your base and still beat you.
Did MarineLorD really say that?
Yeah, it was very sad. You killed
It was a really sad loss.
Yeah.
I mean, it was it has been a long time since I, punched my desk, but this one, like, I really did. And I literally closed the stream like maybe 30 seconds afterwards. I was like, what the hell? I scouted it right away. I had the bunker, I had 2 CCs. Like, I was in a perfect position to hold it. And I don't know, like, the Void Race came in and the leash came into my Cyclone and he killed everything. I was like, okay, I'm going to type disgusting and then I'm going to leave the game. And that's basically what happened. And then I punched my desk. It's a good day of streaming.
It could have been worse. You could have gone AFK and do your taxes, Funka. That would have been a whole lot worse. All right, guys, we have a lot to talk about. The way I like to do it is that normally we take a quick look at the weekly. Sometimes I spend a lot of time on it. Today, I think we can go through it rather quickly because we have other bigger tourneys to talk about. But Le Cobra is obviously with us as well, our Pylon Show overlord, and he's going to make sure that we can start off with maybe the Korean weekly that I did not see anything of, but I do know Creator has been winning a lot of them. So as soon as Cobra is ready, we can just go ahead and take a look at the Korean weekly, then the European weekly, and the American weekly. You know, and MarineLorD, I'm actually surprised that you play the American one so often.
Yeah, whenever I stay late, I'm like, yeah. I'm close to Katowice right now. I'm battling my spot with Skillos for the 9th place. I think I'm like 10 points behind. So I'm trying my best to catch up in points, right? Even though, like, the most important is going to be the next DreamHack season. I'm still trying my best in ESL Open Cup and the other tournaments where I can get some points.
I actually kind of like that now both you and Drogo have already mentioned the point standing. Do you guys feel that this is something that doesn't get enough coverage in general? Because I feel like at the main broadcast, we almost never talk about it until basically the end, or then we talk about it with the last chance, which is a bit stupid, obviously, because the last chance is mostly just going to be guys that have already qualified in the first place. Is this something that the pros really stay on top of throughout the entire year?
Well, for me personally, and for a lot of other pros, it actually wasn't that big of a deal when you consider that if you just make it to Katowice, but then you lose in the group stage immediately and you end up like in the last place, you actually don't make that much money. And then it was online cup, so you just stayed at home. So it wasn't such a big deal like the old BlizzCon, when like if you made it in, it was a lot of money, and if you didn't, it was zero, nada. But even if it wasn't the case for like the very last year of BlizzCon. But here, since it was announced that Katowice was actually going to be an offline tournament, I know a lot of foreigners are really, really hyped to qualify because they just want to play a goddamn offline tournament. So it became a lot more important as soon as it was announced for a lot of people, I think.
Okay, that's good to hear. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll have another offline tournament in the near future. I can't imagine that Take TV won't organize something as soon as things are a little bit more flexible, but I think we're really starting to get there, right? Especially in most European countries. It's going to be hard, I think, to really get people from all over the world. Like, I know that DreamHack obviously has hopes and dreams as well of doing something offline, but I think this year is going to be hard to do like a global event, but I think especially a European event alone, that should really be possible. Anyway, Cobra, whenever you are ready to take a look at the weeklies, we can do that. First up, the ESL Open Cup number 89. It wasn't Creator winning this one. It was actually Bjorn. MarineLorD, are you a little inspired by Bjorn still holding his own and winning a little Korean weekly?
I don't watch much Bjorn, honestly, even though I'm watching his stream right now. I just... I don't know, his style doesn't really fit me, so I don't watch him much, but I really like Dream. So I followed the Dream this tournament. I looked his game against Hero. I don't know, I feel like Dream is the most normal TVP player. So with Maru, I would say, but Maru is like something else. So I feel like Dream, if you want to just be a good TVP player, you just copy him and it should go pretty well, even though it's very hard to copy, obviously. But yeah, he's the most standard guys. He always plays safe, some good builds. And yeah, I don't know, I just like to watch him.
What about Gabe, though? Come on, man.
Okay, Gabe is too normal for me. Dream at least mix it up a little bit, but Gabe is just I don't know. I don't know how he makes it sometimes in TVP. Even though I saw his game against Trap and he mixed it up a little bit with some 3CC builds. That's cool.
Yep, Gabe coming out of the DreamHack saying Protoss is fine, then going into ASUS ROG, actually making that of the All Protoss group. We'll talk about that later. Always good to see Bjorn perform, obviously. I know Bjorn has a lot of fans. It just makes me happy. If you guys want to follow the Korean Weekly, that happens on, I think, Saturday morning, 5 a.m. European time, so basically Friday night for the Americans. I might actually try to cast it this week once. Seemed like a pretty fun little tourney. It's good to see Bjorn win, man, because we all know that he still has the skills. I also love when he goes live on Twitch. He's like, hey, guys, GSL champion. I was like, he's like, Drogo, next stream, you better go live with DreamHack Leipzig champion, mate. Some things they never pass.
BlizzCon. BlizzCon GSL champion.
BlizzCon champion.
Yeah, you could say BlizzCon champion.
That's better.
All right, well done, obviously, by Bjorn. Next up, we'll take a look at the European Weekly, and Gabe just keeps on winning them, guys. A while ago, I don't know if you guys felt the same, but basically when we're like 70 weeks in, I was already making predictions with my chat. I was like, how long will it take before Clem has more victories than Gabe? Because at one point, Clem was on this sick hot streak, right? He won like 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 or something. And I was like, I think around week 95 to 100, I actually think Clem will have more victories than Gabe. And I think Gabe took that personally because he's been winning all of them lately. 6 out of 8 this week, taking out Clem in the grand finals. Clem was streaming as well. Obviously, you guys can watch the VODs on Wardy's channel, my channel, or just take a look at Clem or Hero Marine that stream. It was a pretty fun weekly, I think. Not too many super memorable games. I don't know if anything stood out for you, Funka.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think the semifinals between Clem and Showtime was a little bit, a little bit lackluster in the end. I mean, we have that discussion right now. Like, can Showtime can still be at the top of Europe because of Max Packs getting so much better these recent days? And I'm trolling TKL a little bit because I still think Showtime is the better player, right? But the results from Max Packs are quite interesting. But we didn't follow the other semifinals. But if I remember correctly, it's a 3-0 as well, or 3-0 for Hero Marine. So I guess the two besties, the two Terrans, they just did their thing, and then the finals was a little bit lackluster as well. Seemed like Clem was a little bit tired or something, and Hero Marine was just like cutthroat. So what's interesting to me is that King Cobra won a game again against Clem, and it was really tight on the second one. I don't know if you've seen that, but
Mate, I casted the DreamHack qualifier yesterday, right? And I
yeah.
followed King Cobra. And first round, he plays against Hydra or Hudra, Dutch Produce. And I'm like, guys, this can actually be close. And it really was close. And I think in that final game, he did about everything he could have possibly done wrong, but then he still held just because he had a pretty good build order. So he barely wins. Next round, I watch him against Botvinnik. I'm convinced that he's dead on Oxide. Like he's a base down and 20 workers down, and he's got like Tempest against a 3 base Terran. I'm like, this game is over. King Cobra Magic. He wins, does lose the second game, wins a nail-biting series. Final round, he has to play against B. I'm like, all right, guys, I'm not going to cast this because I'll cast another series because I know King Cobra is funny and all, but, B is just too good. I wrap up my other series. They just finish up game 1.
Yeah.
King Cobra 1-0 ahead. 40-minute game 2. King Cobra 2-0. I watched the last game too. I'm like, King Cobra is super dead. He's down a base. He's down 20 workers. He's got a couple of Tempests.
Never.
Just wins again. I don't know. This guy's actually turning into a little bit of an enigma because he wins all these games. And it's ridiculous.
I just don't understand how he does it. Like, I mean, you look at what he does, and you look at these build orders. You look at, obviously, like, mechanically speaking, he's not the most gifted or the most, fast players that there ever was, but he still puts on results. Like, he will be in the close qualifier on Sunday, as you said, because he beat B and he 3-0'd him. Like, he freaking 3-0'd him. And we ended up, like, following the second and third game of that best of 5 because we were casting something else. And we come up to the game and we're like, okay, B should be able to beat him, right? Like, and when you think about King Cobra and his style, I guess you're like, okay, he's gonna be maybe comfortable in PvP and PvT, but PvZ is gonna be an issue. And then suddenly freaking trios him and like, okay. And especially as you said, the third game looked like it was unwinnable. And I started talking to Coca. I was like, why are we following this? It's gonna go game 5. He's gonna lose 3-2. He's gonna get reversed. And then nothing happened. He freaking wins 3-0. I was like, okay, this guy is great. I mean, when you look at the run of Clem here in the ESL Open Cup, I can guarantee you in his head, the hardest TVP match that he played was against King Cobra. He freaking owned Mana. It was like not even close. Showtime didn't really perform, and yes, he did ended up winning a game, but Clem did win 3-1 pretty convincingly. But if you take a look at Clem versus King Cobra round of 32, he literally sent me a message after game 2. So he loses game 1. I think it was like a massive Zelo charge, something all in. We weren't in the game. Second game, he goes for the usual carrier rush, and honestly, I'm looking at the game. I'm like, we're 1 A-click away from Clem getting 2-0'd by King Cobra. Like, he's gonna lose this game. And then King Cobra kind of messed up the attack. He like target fired a tank for some reason when there was like 25 Marines, killing all the interceptors. And finally, like, Clem just gets the 2-2 and can kind of push in and owns him. But he sends me a message like 2 seconds after the second game finishes. He was like, okay, I was about to get 2-0'd. I don't know how I won this game. Like, I'm really happy that I win, but I'm really not sure how he won. So yeah, the guy is an enigma. It's really interesting to see him play. Like, it kind of makes me mad at heart that he does so well. But the guy has something. Like, there's kind of cool. There's something to be said. Yeah,
because like you watch great players like Skillers and Mana play against Clem, and it often looks pretty one-sided in favor of Clem. So he clearly does a lot of things right. Who could have ever thought, guys, that the year is 2021 and the 2 toughest opponents for Clem in Europe are not Raynor and Cyril, but it's King Cobra and Gabe? Drogo, 2 questions for you then. Do you ever watch King Cobra, and what do you make of the way that he wins his games? And second, going back to what Funka just said, Showtime or Max Specs, whose style are you a bit more fond of?
I like watching King Cobra stream sometimes because it looks like he's having fun playing StarCraft. He's just chilling here, taking the triangle base so his air unit can defend it easier. And I was like, all right, we're just gonna chill here, get some robo units, some Stargate units, and it doesn't look really viable. You feel like you should die to anything, and then sometimes he randomly wins, which I think is amazing. But he's pretty old, right? Isn't King Cobra like 33 or something like this?
I think
I remember.
I think
I
it's
heard
30. We watched.
30.
We checked it yesterday. I think it's
Okay, well, it's
30.
funny. Well, it's not that old, man. But still, like, being 30 and being able to beat Clem, will I ever be able to do that? I don't know, Kev.
Yeah, he's from 1990. No, he's actually like 31, almost 32.
Yes, that's it. That's so sick. I think that's so cool. Like when I'm 32, and I'm not a pro gamer anymore. That's still what I want to do. I want to just go into these cups and ruin the dreams of like the young ups and comers. I'm using my race. I think that's cool. And when it comes to Max Pass against Showtime, I'll just say like this. I think Showtime is probably like the way better player. Sometimes I watch Showtime, I'm like, this guy is the best player in the world. Showtime is an incredible, how to say it exactly. When you have like several control groups, and really often you will see like Zest really perform with two control groups that he can control very well. And sometimes you have some other player like Cyril that, he can manage 4 control groups like very distinctly just fine, being very fast with them. Showtime is the only Protoss player that's going to be incredibly comfortable with like 5 different control groups. And it's like, if there's no delay, there's no lag in when he moves his unit or like goes in with stuff, he's really, really good with this. And I can guarantee you, like all of the other top Protossers, it's like 2, 3 at most. So like Showtime is for me like an incredible RTS player, but Max Pax is much better at abusing his race. That's pretty much all it boils down to, really.
I think that's a pretty fair observation, actually. I think you're giving credit to where Showtime deserves the credit. Max Pax definitely is just also good at winning in a weird way, right? Like, I feel like he always finds a way not just to abuse the race, but he sees little opportunities and he can actually capitalize on them. That makes him very fun to watch. Anyway, that was the European Weekly. Gabe winning again. 6 out of the last 8, over 35 in total at this point, or 36. I don't think Clem is ever going to catch him, and if Gabe continues like this, I think Gabe will forever be the recordmeister of the Big Gabe Weekly. Now, last but not least, we can take a look at the American Weekly real quick. I actually casted the American Weekly, guys, on Monday. I didn't really want to do it, but I'm sure that you guys as streamers, or at least you, Funka, you're familiar with the new Twitch thing that they've done, where it's like, you can still get 100% of your old revenue if you stream X amount of hours a month. Now, unfortunately for me, I've streamed a lot over the last 10 years. So my benchmark is 129 hours a month, which is doable. Yeah, okay, it's a lot, but it's doable. But it's not doable if you spend 15 days in Sweden. But I'm still going to try because I'm a stubborn motherfucker. So I was like, all right.
And you like money.
Yes, I mean, especially like Twitch money. They've got a lot. I've got not that much. So come on, Twitch. Give me my little bonus. So I was like, all right, we'll come home on Monday. I literally came home at like 5:30, ran into the shower, sat down, casted European Weekly, then did the American Weekly too. We can take a look at the bracket real quick. It was one big Protoss party. And if you guys did not see enough good StarCraft yet with the ASUS ROG and DreamHack Masters, even though DreamHack Masters didn't have that much, but we'll talk more about that soon. Zone against Max Pax was actually one hell of a semifinals. I kid you not. Every single game, I'm like, all right, I think Max Pax is in trouble. The kid is just never in trouble. But then I was even more impressed by Creator. I know he's been winning the Korean Weekly a few times, but I don't know if you guys felt the same as me. If you'd have asked me like 2 weeks ago, hey, Roddy, how good is Creator? If you compare him to European Protoss, I would have been like, top 10 maybe, like somewhere around there. We've got so many. But holy smokes, that guy actually played incredibly well. I had no idea Creator was that good at the moment. Drogo?
Yeah, I think I played him. I lost to him earlier in a cup, actually. I think. Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one, right? Yeah, you can see my name. And the funny thing is, when I lost, I was like, God damn. I mean, fair play to him. He played well, but I really was really far ahead in the 2 games. I really messed it up, and I feel like I should have won both. But, like he said that night, not too hard on myself. And then I wake up the other day, and I see that he won the entire tournament. I was like, huh, really? That's interesting. I know I would not have won against Björn, and I would not have won against Max Pack. So I'm not mad, but I'm like, what did he do, dude? Like, I need to check this game out. And also, very quick note, the thing you said about Twitch? For me, it actually encouraged me to start streaming, because the number of hours I needed to stream to get the maximum amount of money was 7 hours per month. I was like, let's go, let's go.
Slightly more doable than the 129 they won. Now, I actually think, Drogo, if you're curious, take a look at how Creator played against Max Pax, because Max Pax played super good against Zaun. Honestly, very smart, was in tricky situations, but Creator left him no chance. It was almost domination. I was so freaking impressed. MarineLorD, did you play against Creator anytime over the last few months?
Yeah, I lost to him in the last ESL Open Cup. Not this one, the one before. I don't know. It felt pretty good. I'm not sure. Like I have a hard time saying what they are doing good when they play Protoss. Like they're all different, obviously, slightly different. In Korea, they tend to be pretty aggressive. But I'm not sure. Like if you told me I played Zune this week, I would say no. It was Lilbo. He literally played like him. It was pretty crazy. He went just for like a 3-base Colossus Stalker push, and it was pretty decisive. So I don't know. Like I would say it's pretty good right now. Especially when I saw his game against Bjorn, he won pretty easily. I mean, it was kind of close, but he won pretty easily, I would say. So yeah, I don't know. He's pretty good for sure right now.
I feel like this is such a sad moment for him to be really good, though, right? Because like we're already in the 3rd season of GSL. I guess they maybe have like one more. At least they have less chance qualifiers, I guess. But it feels so random for him to suddenly be peaking in late October or like almost October. I don't really get it, but he's actually really good. Anyway, congrats to Creator for winning that one and also winning some of the Korean weeklies that we missed because I was traveling. But in the last 2 weeks, he won 3 out of the last 4 or something. So that guy is just on an absolute heater. And maybe he just wants to make a living. Maybe he took a look at Gabe and he's like, if Gabe can make that amount of money of the weekly, who needs the GSL? I'll just win the Korean weekly and a bit of the American weekly too. And I'm going to have a mighty fine Monday every week. Congrats to Creator. And that brings us to one of our 2 main events that we're obviously going to cover. And that is the DreamHack Masters season finals. Before we even take a look at the group, there was one big difference between, I guess, summer and fall. Summer, it was a 4-day broadcast, right? We had 2 groups. Played at the same day twice. And then you had like some playoffs and the final playoffs. This time, they did like 1 group a day. So the broadcast got extended by 2 more days. Are you guys a fan of this, or do you think it's getting too dragged out? I'll start with you, MarineLorD.
I think it's fine. I don't mind both. Like 6 days is fine, I think, no? Did you like it?
Let Funka answer first.
Did I like it? I don't know. I can't really see the difference in my head. Like it's all mushy and everything. Like I can't remember exactly how it was last season. So I guess the problem with like 1 group a day is that if you're not that interested in the group that's happening, then suddenly the broadcast is not that fun. I'm looking at Group D, for instance. I mean, I love the players, but it's PVZ Fiesta. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to enjoy myself casting all of those games today. Or at least I'm going to get better at my comprehension of PVZ. But no, I mean, 6 days is good. It's good. Like, I mean, it's a lot of broadcast time for us. It's pretty decent on paper. But as I said, yeah, 1 group could be not that interesting and you will not have a good time as a commentator.
Drogo, as a spectator?
I mean, I think it's fine, personally. Like, I didn't watch it too closely, but I like one day, 1 group. Sounds pretty good to me.
All right. So my answer is that I'm a little bit torn. There's 2 big positives. The first positive for me personally, not related to what's good for StarCraft, is that I get 2 extra work days. So that means extra money. Obviously, I'm happy with that. Second positive is that I do think everyone that makes it through their regionals, in a way, deserves time on the mainstream, right? It's a little bit sad if you do make top 4 in Europe, but then you actually get put on one of the groups that doesn't get broadcasted. Like, when you have A and B together, we choose Group A, then B will be on the B stream, and we might not even see someone. For instance, last season finals, we didn't see a single game of Clem because he was in one of the groups that didn't get broadcasted on the mainstream. That's obviously kind of silly. So in that way, I like it. My one problem is, and I think this is the whole reason why ASUS ROG was obviously a bit more fun than the DreamHack Masters season finals, is that some of these groups, they're just kind of imbalanced. The representatives of Taiwan, the representative of Oceania, they are just not as good as the Koreans and Europeans. And the entire GSL group format, in my opinion, only works if everyone is evenly skilled. Or maybe there's one guy that's a bit better, but the other 3 are just as good. But if you have one obviously weaker player in the group, then I almost feel that the majority of the broadcast doesn't matter that much. And then it becomes sometimes a bit too painful to watch. But I guess there was ups and downs. Let's just go ahead and take a look at how it played out. Cobra is going to put it on our screen. And Funka, I'm going to start off with you before we even talk about Group A. You've seen all of it. Coming into the tournament, we were all excited. When you look back at this tournament, if you have to rate it 1 to 10, what kind of a number would you give it?
So the general experience of watching the tournament, what grade would I give it? I'd say, I don't know, like on paper, I'm not that much of a fan of the season finals because of the global and the different servers. So even if the tournament is really, really, really good, I can't give it a 10, right? Because it's just like the cross server thing that messes with me a little bit. But this one was pretty decent. I'm a fan of Hero Marine, so I'm happy about his performance. I would give it a 7 out of 10.
I think that's very generous. MarineLorD?
Yeah, I will give it less. I didn't like too much. Actually, the group stage was fine in some groups. I liked group B and C. Time was very playing well, even against Dark. It was pretty cool. But I felt like the playoff was. I mean, it wasn't really fun to watch, right? It was just like some one-sided match. Did we even have a close match in the playoff? Maybe in the bottom bracket? I'm not sure.
Not even.
I don't think so.
Yeah. It's a 5 out of 10. Why did I say
We had
7?
one.
I'm super stupid.
I think
Sorry.
you talked about
I will
Aegis
switch
Rogue
it.
in your head.
Yeah. I had like games of ASUS ROG in my head. Like, yeah, it's a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, ASUS ROG
Sorry
was
about
good.
that.
We'll
Sorry
talk
about
about that soon.
Sorry about that.
Okay, Bunny time was pretty good actually. And
Yeah.
Parting Claim, even though 3-1, it was still pretty good, I think. Especially because Parting won some macro game where he was behind. I felt like that was pretty good. So I would give like 5, I think.
Drogo?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of silly to give it a score like this. I would just say that there were a lot of one-sided series, and obviously that's never fun to watch. But I do like it when it's Cyril that's winning. I've been missing Cyril absolutely dominating everybody in his path, and I'm happy it happened. I'm just happy it happened. But it's true that by the end of the tournament, like when he 3-0'd Bunny and he followed Trap, it felt like a little bit like you knew the end of the story.
Yeah. And like it's obviously great to see Yona win, but if I gotta be honest, I like to see him at least sweat a little bit. I like to see him work for it. And at one point, it just felt like super inevitable that Yona was gonna absolutely walk away with this. It's great to see Yona on top. I think Group C had a very memorable game, right? Dark against Time on the Romantic side. I think that was an absolute banger. And Bonnie Time had its moments, but overall, I honestly felt this was a bit of a painful season finals. And it's always sad, right? Because everyone does their best. All the players do their best. The production crew does their best. But we just had so many one-sided series and very few upsets overall that I did not enjoy. Like, if I go back to the summer season finals, where you had a pretty fun event with Scarlet taking the 2-0 lead over Inno getting it back, Rainer against Maru, sick grand finals. I mean, this one, you look at the group stage. I mean, we can bring it back as well if you want Cobra for a split second. Like, I think Group A kind of played out the way that most people expected. Group B, MaxPax did his best. He did win his opening series, right? And that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I mean, Gabe making it out of this group as well. And that's funny. That's the second time in a row that he got an All Protos group.
Twice in a row,
yeah, I didn't even make that connection. So I guess it's good to see Gabe show up. We can talk about the groups real quick. Funka, Group A, were you happy with it?
Yeah, as I said, I'm like the biggest Hero Marine fan. I think he's like a really interesting player to watch as a Terran player, but as like a general viewer in general. His stream is really interesting, and the way he plays, like, is the standard that you want to see win. At least like the way I like StarCraft is winning by like proper decision making and standard builds, and that's why that's what Gabe does. So I'm happy about that. Obviously, SOS was a little bit, it was sad, but he did end up like retiring just after. So I mean, it makes sense, but it's still sad to see SOS just getting rolled over. He
did the gateway rush, guys. The gateway rush like 3 times.
I'm not gonna say thanks for that because I keep getting that in ladder, and it's pretty annoying to play against.
Really?
Yeah. I get it. Like, I don't know. I think yesterday I got it 3 times. Yeah, my experience of the ladder is not fun. Like TVP.
Drogo, what did you think when you saw SOS building the gateways in Gabe's main over and over again?
No, I didn't watch it live. I only saw like when I was streaming the day later, someone in my chat is like, "Oh, do the SOS build." Like, what do you mean the SOS build? Do the SOS build. Oh my god, streamer is not doing the SOS build. Like, hey, what do you mean? I had to look it up. I was like, can that even work? And I guess not, but maybe it can. Who knows?
Can it work, MarineLorD? Do you ever lose to it?
I mean, I didn't play against it yet, so I'm not sure, but I was a little bit confused with this. The first time I was like, maybe it's a genius thing. Second time I was like, okay, maybe there will be something different. And then third time I was like, okay, let's just watch something else.
Oh, well, in the end, Potting and Gabe advanced. Neep did play some fun PvPs, I guess. I think he got himself in good spots a few times, but oh man, that game on Lightshade was a bit of a throw, right? I remember that one where he was very far ahead. He could have won. Anyway, second group, we had Bonnie, Clem, Maxpex, and Juanito. Juanito is always a bit of a question mark when it comes into the season finals because we know that he's competitive in Korea. He does still qualify for the GSL, but he's been having a very hard time showing what he's made of at the season finals. Why do you think that is, MarineLorD?
Maybe he's not playing as much right now. But I know he told me like since a long time he really wants to focus on Katowice. So I'm sure he will practice a lot for this. But yeah, right now maybe a little bit less practice than usually. I don't know, like to be honest, in this group I felt like Special had a good chance. Usually I feel like his TVZ is pretty weak and his TVT and TVP are pretty good. So I gave him a decent shot, but yeah, it didn't go well obviously.
Did you see his Banshee build where he went like on Lightshade, I think?
He
No, on
always likes to play
2K.
mech. On 2K, yeah. I mean, it was close, but this kind of build is so weird because, like, if you play very well, maybe you can make it work and it's gonna be even. But if you do like a very small mistake, you're just 100% dead against Terran.
See. Unfortunately, MaxPack's not making it out. I think kind of covers it for Group B. Group C, we did have that crazy game between Dark and Time. I really think that's a must-watch game. If you guys didn't see the game on Romance side, that was awesome. Unfortunately, Probe, obviously, just not quite ready for these guys. Scarlet not able to repeat her impressive performance of the previous season finals. What you expected Dark and Time in this group, Funka?
Yeah, I mean, there was like still a question mark on whether or not Scarlet could make it, and I think that made it an interesting group. I mean, in the season finals like that, like you need at least 3 decent players that could play for a first place to have an interesting group. And obviously, Probe, I think he still hasn't scored a single map win since he qualified for the season finals. So obviously, Probe was not, like a candidate for that. But obviously, Scarlet, Time, Dark. I mean, it's TVZ Fiesta, so I'm really happy. And I thought Scarlet could do it, but I did predicted Dark and Time to make it out in first and second place. And as you said, like honestly, you gotta watch the first game of Dark versus Time. It was such a banger. Such a banger. I was obviously a little bit sad for Time and the way it worked, but Dark's such a beast, man. Like the way he brought it back and everything. But see, if you didn't see it, just go and watch the VOD. It's really sick. But Dark and Time was the actual prediction, and it makes sense that they made it out first and second place.
And last group, we had the little PVZ Fiesta, as Funka called it. Serral Trap has Serral and Trap advancing. I think that's kind of what we all expected. Did you still enjoy some of those games, Drogo?
Yeah, I like it, It's like, all right, I know you guys have got your propaganda. We can make the void race, but Serral just laugh in the face of the narrative, and he just destroys everybody like super easily. So that made me happy, obviously, because I always cheer for the opposite race, and so I had a very good time in this group.
Serral did drop his only map of the tournament in this group, and that was against Zaun. This time actually on Lightshade, guys. I kept saying Lightshade when it wasn't Lightshade, but this was Lightshade. And I was actually so triggered watching that game because Serral was not only, like he mentioned that he was rallying his Zerglings into the cannons at the third, but there was that one, there were 2 pylons that both had like 20 HP, and they could have unpowered the battery and could have unpowered the Robo. And if he would have just targeted those 2 batteries, I don't think Zaun would have ever held, but...
It is the one funny thing too, is that Serral is super good, but his queen walks, they're not that great. Like, they're okay, but really often I see him like kind of similar up. I remember Limbo got very mad. I remember him like watching the game, like, oh my god, B would have won this game. Nah, so would have won this game. So and so would have won this game. I thought that was very funny.
Vanya definitely would have won that game.
Yeah,
yeah.
Vanya would have walked over Trap in this situation. Super easy. I mean, over Zaun, I mean.
Yeah. We had a little upset, I guess. Has winning a PvP against Zaun. Is that just PvP? What can you do? Or is there something that Zaun, I don't know, could have done better, Drogo? I don't know if you saw the series.
I didn't see the game. If I saw the game, I would have been able to say a lot more. But yeah, PvP is a bit weird sometimes, but it's still a very good result from Has. Because I feel like these days in PvP, you can be very solid if you want to be. Like, you can play gimmickily, or you can just play Stalker Sentry on Scout, and then I don't really see what bad thing can happen to you. Against maybe Has pull up a couple of proxy robo. It's hard to say. I'm sorry, I didn't watch the games.
No worries.
I don't
That's
think
actually
it was proxy robo. I think it was like straight up,
cutting
half macro
corners,
get
but
like maybe.
macro. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
macro,
yeah,
but
yeah.
cutting corners.
Exactly. So I was really, really surprised, honestly. Like I obviously predicted, has to go like out 0-4 in last place. Obviously, Aligulac said the same because I'm always doing like the predictions and I'm going through what Aligulac thinks of every series. So that was like the only mistake I think Aligulac did. All of those 4 groups was this loss against of Zaun against Az, and I had like high hopes for Zaun. Like I hope this guy like actually climbs higher and higher on the pro hierarchy because like he's quote unquote younger and like he can be like the next big thing. But I was really, really surprised that he got he got eliminated there.
But perhaps better luck next season. Then let's go take a look at the bracket one more time in the playoffs, where it was nothing but a Sarro domination. But we did start off with a nice little TVT series. And Marina, I don't know if you agree with this statement, but I always kind of felt that Bunny and Time, they are somewhat similar, where they both just like to attack all the time. So I was actually kind of excited for this one.
It was pretty good. I think Time even played a mech game, and I'm not too surprised for that. Like, I think Time is just good at pretty much everything. He just likes to play aggressive. So if you can play a mech game pretty aggressively, he's gonna be happy. So yeah, I would say they are pretty evenly matched, and Bunny is pretty much the Korean Time. So yeah, it gives some aggressive series. Sometimes some baboon doom drop, but that's TVT, so it is.
That drop on Oxide, right, was pretty sick, where he's like, he scans, he's like, oh, there's your bio, there are all your Vikings, and you've got 5 turrets. It'd be a shame if I would still fly in there. And he actually traded out pretty good. It was one of the wildest things I've seen. It was a fun one. Then we had the rematch of the European DreamHack between Gabe and Yona. Yeah, Funka, you shaking your head?
It makes me sad, man. Like every time I see the draw, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a rough one. And obviously, Hero Marine, I feel like he has the proper assessment of his opponents. Like usually, we'll go like, I can beat this guy. It's gonna be hard. In best of 3, maybe I have a shot. This guy is just like trash. I'm gonna own him. Like he says like he thinks it is, And then he drafts Serral, and you're like, okay, he doesn't believe that he can win, and he probably will get 3-0'd, and that's what happens, And obviously, that's one of the worst things that can happen as a player for him and for us as commentators, because you go into the series thinking that Serral is going to 3-0 him because he doesn't really have any meaningful in his way up until the finals, and that's what happened. Like, I mean, the series, I can't even remember it. Like, I don't remember the game actually like one bit because it was just like a walkover. Basically.
I think on Oxide they had a decent game, if I recall correctly. Yeah, but Gabe just took a little too much damage from the run buys on the left side a few times.
Yeah, it's actually funny because I view Gabe and Serral kind of in the same way. That the 2 players, and there's not many players like this, that pretty much the trademark is that they don't really make mistakes. They just don't. And it's a really good skill to have in StarCraft too. So you obviously are a very good player if you don't make mistakes. But what happens is that you're going to be very consistent, and you're always going to win player that you're better than them. And if you're worse than someone else, well, you're just going to lose like really consistently. At least that's what I feel like with Serral. Obviously, like he's really, really good as well. He says kind of his thing that he doesn't make mistakes. But when he loses sometimes, the guy is a bit faster. He does this thing a bit better. And when you always play to low level, sometimes it makes from very one-sided matches, which is why we need player like me in the scene who always fuck up all the time to make matches more exciting. No, okay, never mind then.
We definitely need you in the scene, Drogo.
I agree.
If it's not for the gameplay, it's definitely for the Twitter, mate, because otherwise StarCraft 2 Twitter would be very depressing. Our next quarterfinal was Potting against Clem. MarineLorD, did you expect Potting to win, or did you kind of thought that Clem was going to take it?
I felt it was maybe slightly favored for Potting, especially against like EU just won against Bunny in GSL, and he won against Gabe in the group. So I felt it's gonna be hard for Clem. But obviously there were some advantage for Clem. Like Potting is a guy that never plays Stargate, so you can get some pretty good build order advantage with this. So I thought if like he's Clem, obviously he's very good at the game. So if you can get ahead every time in the early game, maybe you will win. So he went for alien drop a lot, and I think it was very smart. But in the end, he was still losing, even though he was a little bit ahead in early game, which was surprising to me.
Clem did a lot of build orders where it's like a very late second command center, obviously. And I like these builds once in a best of 5, but I feel like if you do it multiple times, don't you make it really hard for yourself as a Terran? Because you basically put yourself in a spot where you need to kill 10 plus probes to even make it a game, right? Because the Protoss obviously always has so many more workers. Why do you think Clem went for so many aggro builds?
I really think it's because parting doesn't like target. If you know your opponent can mix it up and he can go targets, you're just gonna die 100%. But if the guy always goes blink, you can somewhat always make it worse, I think, with your alien drops. And you get some very good information, so you can be sure, like, if it's 2 gates, 3 base, for example, or if it's 4 gate blinks, maybe even DTs. So I think it's a good mix of, like, you can do damage, but you can also scout everything and be pretty safe.
Do you agree with that, Drogo?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Helion drop, to be honest. I feel like if you don't play against Target, it's almost always super good. And I usually don't get why people don't play it more often, but after seeing the result, maybe that's why, just because like Korean will find a way to abuse it somewhat.
I say, Funka, were you a bit disappointed in the series, or was it what you expected?
I mean, obviously, I was hopeful for Clem, but yeah, parting probably one of the best, if not the best, PVT right now. Like that doesn't really show any weaknesses. Like he's always aggressive, he's always in your face. He's got that, you know. We mentioned Lilbo earlier. Like he's got that you know that way of killing games right away with his Blinkstalker micro. So I knew the series would be about like Clem being super decisive in the early game and getting the early advantage. I didn't expect like all those late second CC builds, but I expected Clem to be on the aggressive because that's a clash of two aggressive players, right? Like partying, Clem, both players, they want to be on the map, they want to be multitasking and stuff like that. But yeah, partying was just like too much in control, and yeah, it looked obviously like strong Protoss opponents from Korea seem to be like one of Clem's kryptonites these days. So he needs to like go over another level to get those guys. So maybe he needs to go to Korea if he can and practice against you know that kind of competition. Or I'm not exactly sure what he needs to do because obviously I'm not as good as MarineLorD, PitiDrogo, Clem, or even Parting. But yeah, I expected Clem's run to end in the quarterfinals. I thought it was a really, really rough draft for him. And the sad thing about that is that by the moment Clem lost, I was like, okay, it's now 80% Serral's tournament. Like, if Clem is not there, then Serral is like 80% sure of winning the game. And then the other quarterfinals, Trap and Dark, but we talk about it, was the other 20% that was lacking for a like landslide for Serral. And that's what happened in the end. So
yeah, Trap actually played an amazing quarterfinals against Dark. I don't want to spend too much time on the Dreaming Masters, but that second game on Oxide was insane because it really felt like he was pretty dead. But then he just hang in there, and he eventually turned it around. And we even got a little desk slam out of Dark for that one. And then the third game was also quite remarkable, right? Because it felt that Dark was super dead, but then he actually really turned it into a game on 2K, and I felt he was one fight away from potentially still winning that from an absolutely atrocious position. So it had its moments, but in the end, pretty convincing victory for Trap. Were you surprised by that, Roger?
No, not really. That's just what I expected. No surprise here. Sorry, not much else I can say.
All right. Then semifinals, we had Bunny versus Serral. I'm going to be honest, I am obviously a big Yona fanboy. I love Yona. For me, he's the GOAT. Makes people angry, but it doesn't matter. I love Yona, but I really, 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 really hope that Bunny would show his absolute best and potentially even upset for once, really show us what he's made of. Because Bunny is often so good in group stages, a quarterfinal, and there it always ends. Sometimes it's a semifinal. But then he doesn't just lose. He often loses in a one-sided way. And it makes my heart break, man, because this poor dude is clearly good. I really thought he was at least going to make Serral sweat. And MarineLorD, you were in my Discord, and you said, don't worry, Roddy. I kind of thought it was going to be a good series, too. And it really wasn't, right?
Yeah. I feel like maybe Bunny was a little bit like not confident. And he was like, yeah, I need to do some good cheese and some good preparation to beat him. But I don't think that's the case. Like, I think Jonah is obviously one of the best. But I feel like most people underestimate themselves. And I think that if we all just play normal against him, or as Terran actually, if we just play normal and a very good game, from time to time we will take a game. And I feel like most of them, like they just don't believe in themselves. Like Gabe's too, like when he won against Reno, I was pretty happy because I felt like I thought he had a good chance, but I felt like he's gonna lose confidence in himself if he loses just one game, when I actually think he have a good chance in a macro game. So I would say, yeah, just sometimes the people don't believe in themselves and they just go for like some dumb cheese that will pretty much never work, especially against someone that as solid as Serral. So I don't know. It was a pretty disappointing series to me.
Yeah, I felt the same. Funka, any last thoughts?
Yeah, no, super disappointing series. Like you see a TVZ in semifinals of a major tournament, you want it to be a fiesta. You want it to be a fun matchup, and it was nuts. It was just bad. So good for Serral, sad for Bunny, as you said. Like it's heartbreaking because I love Bunny. He's been around for so long. Like he's on the verge. You're like, oh, he's one of the top Terrans. He's gonna get it. He's so fast. He's got those macro plays and he micros very well. And then he gets shot on 3-0. Like, okay, see you next time, man.
Yeah, and it's so sad as well because I feel like if Bonnie would play against Sarah on the group stage, I actually think that Bonnie would probably play an amazing series, maybe even win it, but in the semifinals, it seems to just be like almost a mental point for him as well, where I kind of like what MarineLorD said, maybe overcomplicate things a little bit rather than just believing in your own ability to play normal, stand that straight up, and play your best. Our second semi was Trap versus Parting. That almost looked like it was going to be 3-0. Parting barely won one game where he was actually in a lot of trouble. But in the end, Trap still won it kind of convincingly. Drogo, did you catch that semi?
No, actually.
Lazy.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? You've seen one PvP, you've seen them all. Right?
I mean, I think a lot of fans hope Parting would win, but Trap winning I don't think was too surprising. So then we had our grand finals, and that is obviously a rematch of something we've seen many times before. We also saw it in the group stage already, Sarah against Trap. Funka, you were 100% convinced Sarah was going to win it?
Well, yes. I mean, Serral's EVP is just like so strong, and we with today's meta with the Sky Toss and everything. Like, yeah, if it gets to that point, Serral will be. And you mentioned like he was. I think PitiDrogo mentioned that he was pretty bad at Queen Walk. Well, I understand because he doesn't have to do it. Like the control he has in late game, and you can tell he's been playing a billion games like this, or he's just that good. And I think it's a combination of both. Like he goes for late game all the time, and it seems. And it's hard for me as a caster because I'm like, okay, this game is gonna, drag on a little bit longer, but I can guarantee you that Trap is not gonna win it. It's gonna take some time, and Trap is gonna, try to do stuff left and right, and maybe use the mothership and do some recall stuff, and you're like, you are so cute, bro. Like it's never gonna work. Like Serral is just too comfortable with that composition, and yeah, and he was. So it's interesting that Trap can 3-0 Dark and then gets 4-0'd by Serral. And obviously there are stylistic differences between players, but like it's so like night and day. It's really, really, really impressive. So obviously in the quarterfinals, I thought Trap would get like demolished by Dark because they just played before and Dark was just like really solid and won it all. Ali Gulak was, agreeing with me once again. I don't want to get shout out to Ali Gulak every 2 seconds, but still, it was kind of an upset for him. And yeah, so Trap can, absolutely shit on Dark's style, but obviously Dark didn't play anything like Serral did, and Serral in the late game with the Spores, with the Broodlords, the Corruptors, the Infestors, the Vipers, like we mentioned earlier, he can control like 4 or 5 groups, being super comfortable with everything, and it looked like this series was just like, when is he gonna get the 4-0? Is it gonna take like an hour and a half, 2 hours, an hour? Like we don't know, but it's gonna be 4-0 or 4-1.
So Drogo, if you can give me 1 or 2 Protosses that would beat Serral, or somehow, what is the best way to beat Serral, and who do you think has the biggest chance to beat Serral? Because Trap clearly doesn't really.
The
match
last time
very
I
well.
saw a Protoss win against Serral was MaxPax actually. The games are really crazy. They made no sense why MaxPax won, but he did. So I think that's pretty nice, and I feel like if you had like a new Zest kind of thing, or like a new Protoss has like this weird one build with like some variation that Serral doesn't know at all, and then like Serral just ends up being a bit behind like every single game, then maybe you have a shot. But that's like the one thing about the meta game right now is like a lot of players right now where they're ahead, they're like, all right, I'm ahead, so I'm gonna make a bunch of carriers and I'm gonna A-move with them, and that's how I'm gonna win the game. But against Serral, that actually doesn't work. So I would like to see someone get ahead against him and then try to punish him a little bit earlier with like actual ground units, or like just in general an earlier timing. I feel like that's a bit better. But yeah, Serral in PvZ is just way too good. You don't have like if the game lasts too long, usually you just lose because he's very patient. I feel like a lot of the Koreans and a lot of people in general in StarCraft 2, they don't really have the patience that Cyril has, and it's quite impressive to see every time. And it's really really rough to play against. Usually I can't be bothered.
Alrighty. Well, congrats to Yono for being back on top. And Drogo already mentioned earlier that obviously does mean shocking, guys, that we're going to see Sarah at the Intel X3 Masters Katowice. My goodness. I'm sure that he was losing sleep over that. But by winning the season finals, he gets invited, just like Reina already got invited for winning the last season finals. And that means that Europe will have slightly more representatives at Katowice a little bit later. And that's why Drogo and MarineLorD are battling it out with Skilless in the weeklies each and every single Monday, and that's good news for all of us. Will be fun to follow. And that means, obviously, that that's done. Then normally we have a bit of a break in the StarCraft 2 scene, and we can talk about everything else. But the following weekend, we had another event. It was ASUS ROG. Got announced not too long ago. We had qualifiers. 8 people got invited based upon EPT points. Gabe was one of them. Cyril actually didn't get invited because he had less points than Gabe, because Gabe wins every Monday. Now, that's no longer an issue for Cyril because he did win the DreamHack Masters, obviously. The groups were announced only a couple of days before the event, like 3 or 4. I looked at them. I got excited. Cobra, let's go ahead and bring them on the screen. This tournament obviously brought to you by ASUS ROG, mostly the Nordic division, actually. Lambo and Wadi were the online casters. They casted basically 65% of the games, and Benny and myself, we were brought in as the host, but we also decided to cast a couple series to make it easier for them. And I think before we even talk about any games, it's safe to say this tournament was fucking awesome. Funka?
Yeah. As I said earlier, and I'm gonna, I messed up because I said 7 out of 10 for the other tournament, but I think this one is like even an 8, maybe a 9. I don't know. It was a really, really good tournament. It was a nice change of pace because, as you said, like I don't like the DreamHack, global or whatever you call it, with all the servers and everything. So it's just in general a tournament that I don't really enjoy. But this time was kind of the same thing, like cross server and stuff like that. But we got lucky with the games. The group stage was really nice, and obviously the playoffs was nothing to be compared. Like it's a total different beast. Even though Clem got wrecked in the quarterfinals. It was a really, really cool tournament. And, it brought back the memories of, the weekend tournament. Like 3 days, you just go straight
Non-stop.
to it, straight to the point. You're casting nothing but StarCraft. It's, I like it. I like it this way.
Yeah, I think it was very enjoyable for the fans as well, where we obviously knew we were going to have long days because instead of 1 group a day, we had 2 groups a day. So I already told the production as well, it's like, guys, let's not make this a 12-hour broadcast. Basically, whenever players are ready, let's fucking get into it, Ben and I, we can talk about 4 hours if you need us to. But at the end of the day, people want to watch StarCraft. We can keep it short and we can still say pretty much everything we want to say. Let's just enjoy it. I think it was a very good flow. I think the viewers really enjoyed it as well. Also, no breaks in the middle of the series, so it was just like non-stop StarCraft, as you said, Funka. We'll start off with you, Drogo. Gabe once more went up against 3 Protoses. Zest, Hero Marine, Trap, and Hero. I think Group A already had some absolute bangers. I think of the PvP between Zest and Trap, and I think of Gabe against Zest on Oxide as well. Like, how the hell did Zest win that game? Did you catch some of these games?
The one I caught in Zest against Trap was the one on the 2K.
Yeah.
And I thought that one was crazy because I look at it and I'm like, okay, well, Zest lose. And when I tune in back later, 3 minutes later, the game is still going on, but Zest is like incredibly far ahead. And I thought that was really, really fun because usually I feel like comebacks are kind of very difficult in PvP once one player is very far ahead. Like, even if there's Disruptor against Disruptor, like, oh my god, maybe a big shot can do it. Usually it doesn't happen. Like, at this level, it usually doesn't happen. But here, it completely did. Zest is, like, very confident. Sometimes some of the engage is going to take. He's going to be like, all right, we have half a round, let's go. And because he's not afraid, and like, he's looking at the fight, and the other guy maybe is not, like, expecting the fight to happen right now, usually Zest can make stuff happen, and was very, very cool. Obviously, at the end of the day, this is not the match that got me the most excited in this group. It's Hero Marine games, because I even, like, Hero Marine was streaming the entire tournament. I usually watch the games from his pub, and it was very, very nice. The very fun thing about Gabe is that even though he has a godlike TVP, it's not going to stop him, like, from complaining about Protoss, right? And one of his favorite sentence after every game is like, oh, I don't understand. Why do they play like this and not like Trap or Zest? And then he's literally in a group against Trap, and he completely shits on Trap. It was not even close. And I was like, all right, I lose my third base to this tank push exactly the way Trap does. That's great. Gabe got great practice because of me. You know, it's kind of cool, right? Because he sent like a fake medivac with no mines in it. So Trap was like thinking about, oh my God, there's a mine drop. Then suddenly there's like 2 tanks on Marine that you're not really supposed to have if you made mines. It's like, oh my God, this European does so much stuff. No. Just a big brain from Gabe, from a massive individual. I thought that was very cool, but if he beats Trap, then who am I supposed to play as, you know? Do I have to copy max packs? Is that what I have to do? Okay.
Still Zest, I
Max
think.
Pax got
That's what-
3-0'd, you know, in the
Still
ESL
Zest.
Weekly one day. So.
Yeah. It's got to be Zest, even though Zest was also almost dead against Gabe. Marino, did you see Gabe against Zest on Oxide?
I saw it, but I don't remember actually. But I know I
It's
saw
when
this game.
Zest at one point had 10 army supply, and then he just ran Archons and Zealots to the other side of the map after losing his Nexus, and then it turned into like a weird semi-base
Might was
trade.
okay.
That game was
Yeah.
cool. I thought that was a cool move. You know, it's one of these games that I looked and was like, if I was Zest, I would have loved this game 100% because I would have never done this. It was a very good decision making.
I think almost anyone would have lost that game. I think
Yeah.
it's just Zest who wins it.
Yeah.
Were you proud of Gabe, MarineLorD?
Yeah, I didn't believe in him against Trap, to be honest. But when I started watching game 1 on 2000, I think it was, and he went for 3CC, I was like, okay, even if
Yeah.
he lose, I'm happy of him. Like, he's gonna mix up his build, and he's gonna try his best to actually get some early advantage against Trap, which is obviously very good, since Trap is very good. So yeah, I don't know. Like, when I saw he was mixing it up, I was just feeling a little bit more confident for him.
Yeah, that game on 2K was really funny because it was like the typical game I play whenever I play Phoenix Charge Lot. Like you make some Phoenixes, right? It wasn't one of these games where the Phoenixes don't do any damage. Like the Phoenixes would lift SCV on cooldown. Literally, as you have the energy, we lift an SCV. And typically when that happens, like you're gonna win the game. Like that's what's gonna happen. But then it's literally like in my game. I get ahead, I have a cool Charge Lot army, then I take the worst fight ever and I lose the game immediately. that's kind of what happened, really. Like it was a little bit of like off position thing with the drop on the 4th base, but Trap just couldn't get a good fight and he got completely destroyed.
Yep, and that final fight was obviously a bit silly, but it was already
Yeah.
looking bad for him before that. Like, there weren't too many good fights anymore. That was obviously the worst one. Anyway, well done. We can talk about Group B quickly. Maru, Clem, Solar, Neep. This group had some absolute bangers as well. Neep taking a map of Maru. And Drogo, did you see the game on Lightshade where he had the Phoenixes and at one point he flew into the mines? But I actually thought that Neep had a chance in Game 3 against Maru as well.
Yeah, I only watched the Clem games on this group. Sorry, I didn't believe in Nib for 1 second, and then I was very surprised when it was apparently very close.
Yeah, no, he put up a good fight. Funka, did you see that game on Lightshade?
Yeah, I casted it, but I can't remember it for.
Yeah, I mean, basically, there was a big push, and he held with a battery because Neep was in the bottom right, and that was kind of weird. But he still had a lot of Phoenix left over, and there was really some potential in them because he wanted to play like Phoenix, Carius, Colossus, Disruptor. But then he flew his Phoenix to the other side of the map, and Maru had 2 Widow Mines on his ramp, and they both fired, and they killed like 3 Phoenix and softened everything else up. And I feel like that kind of took all the wind out of Neep, his sails.
Yeah, I mean Maru, just in general, when you think about him, like you think of that, you know, potentially aggressive Terran, but also this guy that's just a brick wall, and he has like those random Widow Mines and set up in angles of the map that you don't expect, and that's pretty much what happened to Neep. I mean, Phoenixes got destroyed quite a bit early in Group A and in Group B. Like Terrans seem to figure out a little bit of how you're supposed to counter it, and I've seen a lot of Phoenixes walking into Widow Mines, which always makes me happy, obviously.
But obviously that wasn't the real story of Group B. The story was the TVT a little bit between Maru and Clem, and then obviously the crazy TVZs that Clem played. If you guys missed it, honestly, go back and watch them. Almost everything is worth watching. Maru Clem game 1 was sick. Game 2, MarineLorD, you must have seen that one, right? With the crazy drop in the end on Lightshade again.
I mean, it was pretty disappointing, right? It was pretty even like I think Clem was. Actually, it's hard because he was ahead in every part of the game except air control. And air control is very important in TVT. So I would say it was pretty even. But yeah, he went into some Marines first that scouted his drop, and he told me he didn't know. And then he just got matrixed and died.
He was watching something else on the north side. Like I talked to him in an interview afterwards, and he was like, "Yeah, I think there were a couple of Marines on the top, and I wanted to to get rid of them. So I wasn't watching my drop for like a few seconds, and I clicked too close to the turret, so I didn't see the Vikings, didn't see the Ravens, didn't see the turret. So obviously he had to tap out immediately because he had that style that I really don't like myself, but he had that style when you're always on the verge of doing that doom drop and probably win the game because he started with early stim and lots of medivacs, so obviously he doesn't have air control, but he's always on the verge of, okay, I'm going to doom drop your main and then suddenly it's going to go to hell for you. But once again, like Maru is just so strong against that. And going back to the first game on 2K, like who the hell wins this game against Clem? You remember, like he pushes the third base, kills the CC, takes a bunch of SCVs, tanks, he's got the setup, and Maru is on first base, natural, and a fourth to the right side that's completely out in the dark. There's nothing to defend it, like 2 tanks and 2 turrets. It's so isolated. And as I'm casting this game, I'm like, 99% of the planet is dead right now, but Maru is not. Like Maru
more
can
than
do it.
99.
Yeah, 99.99999. Basically, anybody but Maru loses this game. And I'm like, okay, it's so good for Clem. I'm not gonna cast like differently that I should because it's Maru in the opposite side. But I'm gonna say that it's not 100% over because Maru can, for some reason, do the perfect fight to claim back his third base and go into a normal game and actually counter push with lots more tanks and finishes the game. But Clem versus Maru, and I'm a big fan of TVT, but Clem versus Maru is always like a banger because Maru just doesn't want to die, and Clem is always in his face, and it's really, really, really cool to see. Obviously, kind of sad that Clem lost in the end, but it seems like out of all the Korean Terrans that are still in activity, Maru is the one that Clem seems like he cannot beat these days in TVT. Because the clash of the style is not good for Clem, I think.
Maru was a god, not only in the group stage, but in the playoffs as well. We'll talk about that soon. Clem against Solar, really, really good best of threes. Don't really have to go into detail, but make sure to watch it. What was a little bit of the talk of the tail for a split second there was Solar's tweets, obviously, saying like, man, I can't believe that I walked away with $0 from this tournament after playing these best of threes. And I can obviously understand that. I think there's many ways to look at. Like, first of all, there were 8 invites, right? It obviously, like, we can't really give always money to inviting people, and second, it's an online tourney. But I think the bigger deal is that obviously ASUS ROG, their budget is not coming from ASUS. It's actually the ROG Nordic division. So it's like, I understand the sadness and the frustration, but I think at the end of the day, we should all just be happy that we do have third-party organizers still organizing a tournament like this. Obviously, in an ideal world, we want bigger prize pools. We want everyone to get paid. But I guess you just can't have it all with StarCraft in 2021. What's your take on that, Drogo?
I mean, yeah, like in general, in the purely online scene, I mean, not to start too grim of a topic, but literally the prize money of every single player since the start of the pandemic has dropped down like tremendously. There's just like way less money for players. So if you still want to do tournaments these days, when we're only online, it's not as interesting for the tournament organizer to like put big prize money in it. It's just gonna be less money. That's very sad. I hope that once we go back to normal, it's gonna go back a little bit like the way it was before, because it is very true that right now to make it as a StarCraft 2 player, you need more. Like you're either a really, really good top of the cream, or then you need some other stuff, because the prize money in the online cups is just not here.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. So, and it's obviously extra heartbreaking. Like if you just play 2 best of 3s and you lose in 20 minutes, you're like, okay, I didn't deserve anything anyway. But Solar, he battled his heart out, played absolutely amazing games. Then it is a little bit painful, but sometimes it's yeah. Go ahead.
I was about to add, like especially when you consider how Game 3 in the second best of 3 finished. Like. It was such a close game. It was an uphill battle for Clem that was like pretty much losing against lurker composition. And then, I don't know, magic happened for like a minute and a half. I mean, Clem was defending pretty well and Solar was, giving away his advantage for a little bit. Then there was that pause that was asked by Solar because, cross server and everything, maybe a little bit of lag.
Cat. No. It wasn't
it was the cat? Okay.
I think
I
it
didn't
was a
know
cat
about that.
that stepped on his wire from his headset. So I think the
he
cat
didn't have sound. Yeah, I saw something with the headset, but I wasn't sure.
Another example on why cats are evil.
Oh, definitely. Team Dog over here.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
the way it ended, it was a heartbreaker for Solar, is what I mean.
one feedback I will obviously give to ASUS ROG is that maybe instead of like making it top 8, obviously top 16 is a bit hard when you invite players, but maybe make top 12, you know, so at least everyone that wins at least one series in that group, that they walk away with a bit of prize money. I think that'd be a nice little adjustment, and I'm sure that that should be possible. Anyways, let's take a look at Group C and D quickly then, because this I mean, this tournament was ridiculous, guys. Raynor was a bit of a mystery coming into Group C, but he actually won his group. He did have spectacular games against Cure, but especially against MaxPax. Drogo, did you see Raynor MaxPax on Blackburn?
No, I didn't. Tell me about it.
It's so good. God, leave the Pylon Show, go watch it. It's actually such a sick game. Funka, you saw it, right?
I haven't. I'm sorry.
Oh
I can't.
my
I can't say any. Nah, I didn't see it.
The TLDR is that game was fucking wild, and I was really impressed by Raynor. MarineLorD, you obviously knew that Raynor didn't play that much coming into this tournament. Did you still expect him to win Group C?
No, I thought he would go maybe last or like second last. So I was a little bit sad when Cure, like, I felt Cure didn't have confidence against Raynor at all, and he went for some weird builds. But if we told him beforehand that Raynor just came like from 2 months of vacation, I think he would have played it totally different. So yeah, that was a little bit disappointing. And then the rest of the group was pretty one-sided, I think.
Yeah. After Dark like lost the first series, he was like, all right, now I'm pissed. And Dark actually just played. Dark had a crazy comeback against Cure, though. That game on Lightshade. That was sick, right? Or was it Romanticide, where he was super far behind and he won with Lurkers in the main?
Oh, that was a little bit sad.
Oh, yeah.
The Nidus Lurker that came back. Yeah,
I've seen that.
That's a strong move, for sure.
Even Vanya got Gabe with it in the weekly. One of the very few times that Gabe didn't win. Anyway, Group C was really fun. Make sure to check it out. Last but not least, we had Group D, where Cero could not quite continue his invincible run of the DreamHack Masters, but he did make it out. Rogue got the best of him in a ZVZ. Those games perhaps not the most spectacular ever. I want to talk about Australia quickly, though. Australia against Rogue, guys. That third game on Jagannatha, that was actually a sick game. And I believed that Australia was going to win for a split second. Funk, I know you hate PVZ, but did you cast that one?
I did cast that group. What happened in game 3? Can you?
It was like Australia was at the bottom, and at one point he
yeah.
was really surviving against the Nidus. He had blink DTs, he had carriers. It really felt like he was holding, and he was about to turn it actually into a good game for him. But then I don't know, Rogue just did Rogue shit and somehow won.
Oh, he got absolutely smashed by like massive Baning Ram dice, right? Like with +2 or something like that. Yeah. Well, the thing is with those kind of games, like I put myself in the Protoss shoes, and I'm like, man, +2 Banelings are so freaking overpowered. Like, how the fuck are you supposed to defend against that? And obviously, there's players that can do it, but not that many. But like, I feel when it looks, and I 100% see the game again now, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, Astria is just holding on, and he's got like, oh my god, 75 probes, and he's on 4 bases, and he's making great units, and then 35 seconds later, he's like, okay, he's got 42 probes, he's got half an Archon and 2 Zealots, it's just fucking dead. So I'm a pretty interested in Astria. I'm not gonna say fan because I don't follow every single one of his games, but I feel like the guy has potential, and every time I see him like do well and take a game and even like get close to beating Rogue, it's really fun. But as you said, like Rogue, to me, like you mentioned, Yuna the GOAT, like for me in the discussion, Rogue is the GOAT in a way, and I love seeing him play all the time. Like I think like Cyril, when he plays well, he's not that interesting to watch because he crushes, right? And I like me some tense games, and as you said, like when you look at the DreamHack global event, well, Cyril wasn't fun because he was like 3-0, 3-0, 4-0, like who's next? Like a handshake and $10,000. Thank you. It's like, okay, great. Then Rogue, like he always struggles a little bit more, and he goes like for some weird ass shit every time. So I don't know. It's fun to see him play, and Astria did really well in that first best of 3, but then obviously got run over by Parting, so got his one shot.
That was probably the only really one-sided series almost in the entire group stage, spotting just a bit better in the PvP there. Were you I guess we can just talk about the playoffs then. Anyway, good job by Rogue, obviously winning a ZVZ series against Cero.
Yeah, it was a good series. I just want to add, like, it was a good ZVZ series. I was really entertained by this one, Rogue versus Cero.
Well, then we started with the playoffs, guys. And the group stage was really good in this tourney, but the playoffs perhaps even better. Started off with one of the longest best of fives that I've casted in a while. Zest versus Dark. Just a mental series with a crazy game 5. Drogo, I cannot imagine you didn't see any of that.
I watched a little bit just because I saw that one fun clip where Zest had a bunch of adepts and then he just ran into some Banes.
Yeah,
I thought that was very fun. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of typically what I picture with these guys. You know, Zest and Darks, they're two players. They're going to have things, a strategy that they know are very strong. And sometimes when you have something that you know is very strong, you just go for it. You don't really bother to scout the guy and make sure it's going to work, because if you do that, it's actually most of the time going to make it worse, like work less of the time. So they just did their thing that they think is good. They went for it, and it was a bloodbath. And I really enjoyed it.
I mean, game 5 was the ultra long one on Jagannatha, and I was really kind of molding at one point because I felt that Zest got himself in such a good spot. I almost felt that he didn't know in what kind of a good spot he was. He got Dark down to 20 drones, and even though he took damage too at home, I felt like it was so close to just winning it, and then it just went on and on. And at one point, we could have fought maxed out 4 air upgrades ahead. Instead, we actually fought against 3-3 Corruptus. And then we didn't take the best fight either, because as Lambo also mentioned, the Void Rays apparently shooting at the Queens. But I think those fights are hard to win regardless. Like once the Corruptors have 3-3, I think it's always hard to win.
Yeah, it's very hard. Like he went for the Void Ray Concave, right? Was that the game? Yeah, and it was like, oh my god, sick Void Ray Concave. But actually, like half of the Void Ray are shooting out one queen that's like not dying because it's a queen. So yeah, like, I like the idea, but the execution didn't quite work out.
Yeah, I have a really fun series though. The next up was a series that StarCraft 2 fans around the world were super hyped for, because when Rogue won the GSL finals against Maru, as proud European nerds, we all said Clem would have won that game, and Clem would have won that game, and Clem would have won that game. But MarineLorD, Rogue versus Clem, wasn't quite what we hoped for as Euro fanboys. What did you make of that best of 5?
I'm not sure actually. Like I felt in the group stage, Clem played pretty well against Solar, but you could definitely see the ping difference when he plays in Europe. He just makes like better clicks and doesn't lose as many Marines as he does on NA. So I was not very confident. I would say I thought Rogue would win. And okay, first game was Roach 1-1 all-in, and it was just pretty sad because Clem decided to open Widow Mines. So like in TVZ, if you play tanks, you're gonna have slightly less good trades, but you're gonna be safe against pretty much everything. And if you play Widow Mines, then you have some good chance of killing the Zergs, especially if he wants to go for fast lurkers. You have better trades, and you can snowball in the long game. But against 1-1 Roach, you're dead. And sadly, it was 1-1 Roach. So some people were like, yeah, why does Clem open this style against Rogue? It's so obvious he's gonna go for Roach, but no, it's not. Like, second game, he went for a normal game, and he was super dangerous. And Clem even went Widow Mine on this one, so it's a very hard call to make as Terran, I feel. So like I didn't blame Clem for that. I felt like it was just a choice, and sometimes you don't get the good luck with you, and you're just dead. Second game was just a good game from Rogue, and Clem made a big mistake in his first drop, I think, or his second drop, where he lost pretty much all Marines to the Banelings. And Rogue was on like 60 drones, very low drone count, and we went for like two big armies from pretty much the start. And he went for a big counter attack and just killed Clem. I think he was in a good position after that. And third game it was Roach again, I think. And yeah, it was a pretty rough 3 for Clem. It was feeling pretty bad.
I mean, I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate because obviously I love Clem and I love the Euro boys. But why can Maru absolutely smash Cero while also playing with ping? But then when Clem loses to Rogue, we always like, Clem on European server, he's better. Like maybe Rogue and Maru are also just as good, if not better, than our favorite Europeans.
No, I think they're pretty much even, but you can definitely see the difference in Clem's play. I would say Maru is more solid actually, like in a term of like how he plays. You can clearly see a pattern, or like you can copy this, you know, like you can do, he's gonna do this push and then he's gonna do this push like that, and it's pretty much like when Gabe plays, he plays the same. Like he's gonna do something very solid, and you can identify what he's gonna do, and then it's very hard to do because he's good. But Clem, it's like you're just gonna attack all the time, and if you do one mistake, you're dead. But if you keep attacking very well, you're just gonna kill the Zerg. So I feel like Clem's way to play is probably better, but it's super hard to play. And if you do a single little mistake, and you tend to do more mistake with this style because you are just more active, then you're dead. So I would say, yeah, maybe Maru and ROG are better than Clem, obviously, since they just proved it. But I would definitely say that Clem style is very hard to play with ping.
Yeah, that's fair. And then Maru is maybe just a bit more safe and sound and solid
too.
throughout the. Yeah, okay. I
I
think that's pretty fair. Yeah, go
You
ahead.
I would
also get
also say that
frustrated.
rogue style is very good with ping. Like, I'm sorry, buddy, but when you make them
That's true.
rochos, like 1000 ping or like 10, like I'm just going, dude. I think it's a good strategy choice by Rogue. Like, he really understood the way he was playing. Good job by him.
Yeah, but there's obviously more to it as well, right? Because we always look at it and we're like, yeah, these roach builds, they can be good up to a certain point, but then they shouldn't really work. But Rogue just keeps on proving that even at the absolute highest level and even on offline finals against Maru, he gets the job done with the roaches too. So the guy is clearly just a god with roaches, and I guess they are pretty cheap still,
Yeah,
guys. 75-25. That has never been touched. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. I remember they were one supply.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, I played against Moment back then. It was not fun, you know. Like 150 roaches A-clicking you. My composition is Marauder, Tank, and Bunkers, you know. It's like, I don't want to die, and I still die.
It's like they have two overlords on the map, but they still have a big-ass army.
They also had two points of armor, I think, at the beginning. I think it was one supply and 2 natural armor.
Yeah. And more range, no? Didn't they have more range at one point too?
Maybe they touched like 0.5 range or something like that. I think they're 4.5 now. No?
I mean,
I don't
they
know.
were insane.
They're
roaches.
0.5 of range? Wow.
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah. Reapers actually have 3.5, I think, or something like that. Yeah, you can have like a half point of range, is what I mean.
Okay.
No, the next best of 5 was a series that almost could have been an anime show. Raynor against Gabe. We all thought, all right, Gabe, here you go again, down 0-2. Kind of felt like he was losing game 3 on 2K as well. But then the Liberator showed up, and Gabe got angel wings, and he turned the entire best of 5 around. I mean, that was an amazing best of 5, right, Funka?
It was so sick to watch. And it's crazy because if you think about like how he won, and obviously we're taking that small detail and pushing it as the, you know, that like the reason he won, but he did win because of Liberators in TVZ against a guy that goes Ling Bailing. Like it's kind of crazy to think about. Like usually in my head in TVZ, Liberators are like, you know, good additions to an already like pretty committed push, like Marine Tank all in or all in-ish to kind of thing, or maybe you do a break and then suddenly you've got 300 gas laying around and you go for 2 Liberators and you hope it works because you're gonna fight in the same area over and over again. But he did turn it around with like the 2 first Liberators that he built, and I went into the replays once again when they released it quite fast actually, so thank you and kudos to the admin there. Yeah, that series is like really crazy because it also looks like he broke the limiter in a way. In like, I can beat Raynor. It's like I'm down 0-2. It's gonna be another 0-3 against, you know, Raynor, Sarah, and such, and then suddenly he turns it around by still believing, I guess. Like that does play a part because mental state is really important in a game of StarCraft. Yeah. So I guess he kept on believing, and he also played, you know, more and more precise. And I guess like Raynor maybe got frustrated a little bit, went for some engages that he shouldn't have. Which game am I thinking of? I think the one on Blackburn was really telling, you know, like when he pushes towards the middle and there's those 2 Liberators and there are like 3 tanks, and you're like, hey, he's not pressuring that many things, so maybe you should do the, you know, the Zerg thing where you wait forever and wait for the unsiege, or even like move the drones around and, you know, gain some time, right? And he didn't go for it, so it's like Hero Marine kept on believing maybe Raynor was a little bit, you know, frustrated and, you know, wondering why it wasn't working anymore. And so yeah, there's an expression in French, it's called the vase communicant, which is basically like one player is starting to play worse and then the other one is starting to play better. Like it's a tennis term, and I don't know how it's said in English, but that's basically what happened in this best of 5. It felt like Raynor was losing his grasp a little bit on the best of 5, and Hero Marine was, you know, turning Super Saiyajin 2 or 3 because the other guy wasn't playing as well. So it was a great series, super entertaining to watch, and as the biggest, Hero Marine fan in France, or in my apartment at least. I was super happy to see it.
Yeah, it was a great series. And then we had the series that StarCraft 2 fans around the world always get a little extra excited for. Maru against Serral. Obviously, big history between these two, mostly because they didn't play when we all wanted them to play. I mean, after that last weekend, we all thought Serral's in tip-top shape. Serral's invincible. Didn't quite know what to expect. But MarineLorD, Maru left no doubt in this best of 5. Maru was just better in almost every aspect of the game. Were you shocked to see Maru winning that convincingly?
I was shocked that he opened 2-on-1 in the 3 games, especially because, like, I mean, 2-on-1 is not bad for sure, but he opened with it in GSL, and he was opening it like with it on his stream a lot when he was streaming. So I thought Serral would be prepared for these kind of possibilities and just crush it with like a good defense. But even if he defended well, then Maru was pretty much in an even spot, and he still ended up winning the macro game. So I don't know. Like, I was very surprised he could do that, actually. I was shocked.
Drogo? You must have seen it, right? Even there was no Protoss.
Yeah, like I watched it and it was just like, yeah, I mean, like Serral, you can see him playing like Serral, only kind of keeping up with everything a little bit, but not keeping up good enough. And just Maru was pretty much never touched, and he was kind of looking like the when you're just a little bit faster, sometimes that's all you need, and that's what Maru was this game, just more clean, a bit quicker, and he won a very convincing 3-0. Very impressive, honestly.
Yeah, I'm very impressed too, because I know, like, the Maru and Serral fanboys, they always go at it at each other, and I just kind of sit there and let them fight, eat my popcorn. And, like, people often talk about that WSG series a long time ago that Maru beat Serral in before Serral went on his godlike run. But that series, in my opinion, is always a bit flawed, because that was the patch where the Ravens could build up the energy and could just send the bombs forward. And then basically they just obliterated maxed out Zerg armies by spamming 20 bombs that did 15 damage. But that was enough to blow up everything. And I'm like, there's a reason why that got patched, guys, because that really wasn't that good of a meta. But this one, you can't take anything away from Maru. Played absolutely amazing. Sure, it's an online series and everything, but if most of the time that even hurts a Terran a lot more than hurts a Zerg, just take a bow.
Not as much as people think. Not as much as people think, realistically. But yeah,
Terran
it is true that you. Yeah, cross server. Like, it's always like, oh my god, it's very hard for Terran to play cross server. It's not as true as people think, realistically. Like, I feel like if you look at the situation, do you want to be the guy that just puts mine and then runs away, or the guy that has to split Zerglings against mine on 200 ping? Like, I'm not saying that's one or the other player was advantage because of ping, because it's very annoying for both of them. So realistically, like, it's as even as you can make it to be, but it's not like it's hugely harder for the Terran rather than the Zerg.
No, but I would say a little bit, though, because the Marine splitting is very important. You don't think
No,
so?
I really don't think so. I think that's way like this. But if you play like Clem, sure, but I don't really think Maru plays like that at all. Like, at no point was it like, oh my god, I need to split and then I need to click on the Banes. Like, sure, if you play like that, it can be hard. But the way Maru plays, when you can literally just take good position behind mines and play a more macro-like game, a more like strategy-focused game, I really don't think it's as big of a deal. Like, it's more annoying. But like, for some people, you have to understand, it's like, oh my god, he can't split, so you can't win. The Zerg only has to aim.
No,
and I really feel like splitting against
that.
mine is way harder than you really splitting against Bane in general.
Pretty hot take there, an actual hot take, unlike the Muslim who says that Queen walks are not good on romanticide. Funka, what do you agree on this take? Or what do you make of this take?
Obviously, I didn't experience that firsthand because I'm not a professional gamer. I'm not even a decent gamer at StarCraft, so I can't really say. But what I would add is that the impact it has on you, like the mental blow, it is something that does that is the difference, you know. So I would argue that Clem style is a little bit cutthroat. So obviously ping is making it worse, but the other player is playing with ping. Depends on whether you are on West or Central, but let's not go into that conversation.
Yeah, of
it's
course.
boring, it's not useful, but it is still an argument. So if you're playing this style on West, it is way worse than if it would be on Central. But I do think that Clem gets frustrated about it, and that's something that's really hurting him more than the ping, because he gets frustrated. He doesn't like that he doesn't play. There's one game, I think we talked about it, MarineLorD. I don't know if you remember, but like the unburrow of a mine that happens literally after the mine shot, and that's something that's it's not, you know, in the chaos of combat that, oh my god, there's ping and my split was a little bit worse. It's like I lost 10 Marines because there was ping on this Widowmine particularly. And then you start thinking about it and you're like, I hate my life. I hate cross server, fuck COVID, stuff like that. And it puts you in a mental state that kind of hurts you in the long run. So I guess that's something that you need to take into account. And obviously, Serral did take huge Widowmine hits, and usually, and you can take a look at it. Like
on 2K, it was pretty insane.
It differs from servers, you know. Like there's not that many huge Widowmine hits when it's not cross server, so it does have an impact.
Yeah,
that's
guys,
my take.
Before I let you go, Drogo, this is also a little bit unfair, though, right? Because, like, Rogue smashes Clam, and then we're like, yeah, but the way that Clam plays, he really needs low ping. But then the same matchup the other way around is like, yeah, but the way that Maru plays, then it doesn't really matter. Then it becomes hard for the Zerg. Like, I do think this is a bit unfair towards the Koreans. Like, I think you guys make valid points, and Drogo, what you say with the Widowmines, I think is a valid point too. But I really don't think we can take anything away. Like, Rogue was just better than Clem, and Maru was just better than Cell.
Yeah, like my opinion is also the same. Yeah, that they were playing better, and like just were a better player overall. But you know, actually, like I'm not a Terran, I'm not a Zerg, so like why do you have such strong opinions on it? And the only time when I started thinking about this, it was when Cure would just play on Europe. He played a bunch of qualifier way back then, and he lost 2-3 against Serral. And I remember being like, how can you play on European server on beat Serral? What the hell? And you will see really often, sometimes these Terran or Protosses, they're gonna play on Europe on like Zest and Cure, like still do very well. But you don't really see Zerg do that. Now, it could just be that there's no Zerg that are really interested into doing that. But it started making me think that maybe Zerg wasn't as easy to play on ping as I thought it was. So ever since that happened, I started noticing, like, trying to look at more for the times where Zerg was struggling on ping. And now I see it a lot more than before. Like, really, like the Widowmine shot are like just, they're brutal. The one I'm glad I'm not Zerg when I see these kind of things.
I think that's a fair point, but I also think there's only 2 Zergs that really have the skill in Korea to actually play on the European server and do well. That's Dark and Rogue, and they don't really participate in the weeklies anyway. Like, Solar is really good, but I don't put Solar on Dark and Rogue level. Like, he's close, but not totally there, so I guess then the list kind of becomes short anyway. Anyway, moving on. We had some semifinals as well, and they were awesome. Take a look at them real quick again, Cobra. Sorry, mate. Keep making you switch back and forth. Rogue against Dark. They had a draw. I said it. Like, we could get a draw, and they actually had a draw again. These two are pretty funny, aren't they, Funka?
Wow, that was so cool. That was so cool to watch. And I'm gonna say we were a little bit late on the French stream. So we actually started the game. It was like already like 1:45 and spines were going up. I was like, oh my God, I'm such a bad caster. I was late and everything. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay, so what is it? Like, I'm trying to figure out the colors, like who's like who's doing the spine rush. Like, it really got like, it took me like maybe a minute to, adjust to the freaking chaos that this game was. And then yeah, the intensity lowers a little bit, and I'm like, is this a draw? Like, with the creep tumor and everything, like the spines are never gonna be uprooted, and it looked like a draw. And obviously, like the move of the drone harassing the Zergling and the other drone, I think it was, and the queen just like moving so slowly and trying to get the transfuse on it. It was so fun. Like, it was so good.
Honestly,
I love when it happens.
Like, maybe it was for banter, or I don't know. But if Rogue actively if he actually lost that game because for some reason he moved away from the queen, I would not be surprised if a match fixing investigation went on. Because why the hell would you run away from your queen in that situation? Like, I know it can be confusing, but why?
But he won in the
he
end.
barely won the game.
Yeah.
Like, no? Like, I remember the caster being like, why would you run away from the queen? You don't want to discredit the player because it's like, they're obviously like very, very good. But it was kind of a big brain fart by Rogue. And I'm really happy it still ended up in that draw when he managed to go back. But Jesus, that made the game way too close for no reason.
Yeah, making the extractor at the opposite side of the map, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was a weird decision. It was a weird
decision.
But Queen's right here.
Yeah, but you don't have those games all the time, though. Like, this is not like dropping your first gateway, right? Like,
I know.
Obviously, if you look back at it, there's always like, why? But I'm sure we've all had games where it's like, oh my God, this could have easily been either a draw or I should have just won this. Sometimes we do really dumb stuff in base trading scenarios. I think We've all been there. Overall, very fun series, and Rogue in the end coming out on top. And then we had Europe's last hope, the man that we all believed in, the biggest of Gabriels, playing a TVT against Maru. Hero Marine, I know, MarineLorD, I know you've watched it. What did you make of it? And did you believe there was a little chance in the first game?
Like, I know Gabe is very good, and he's one of probably the best TVT in Europe with Clem, and it's pretty close. But I felt like, even though I think he's extremely good, I thought he would lose 3-0 and it would be very one-sided. Maru is just way too good in TVT, and I'm a little bit sad that Innovation and TY left, because I feel like in the world, they are probably the only two that can give him like a good run for his money, even if he's in a good day. I don't think like pretty much anyone else, even in Korea, stand a good chance against Maru in a best of 5. So I hope in the future we see Terran beat him, even if it's a best of 3. I would be happy.
What makes Maru that good in TVT? Like, when you look at it, is he just good at literally every aspect of the game, or?
Yeah, he's good at pretty much every aspect. The only part where you can be a bit like weird in TVT is the early game. And even early game right now, he finds a way to be solid. But I think this part of the game is the one part where like someone would like TY could make him like lose actually. Like he could maybe get ahead and then snowball properly, which is pretty much easy to do in TVT. But nobody gets ahead in early game against Maru. Some people get ahead in mid game. But if you get ahead in mid game in economy, then Maru is gonna get air control, and he's already like if you get ahead in the mid game against Maru, it's because he gets air control and he left like with not many marines and tanks on the map. But then he can just slowly crawl back into the game, and it's super hard to win against him.
I think that's
Yeah,
fair.
I wish we would have seen a proper late macro game, you know, in TVT between those two. But the thing is, Maru just freaking roll over him. Like it was kind of interesting because if you compare it to last time Maru and Clem played, it was, you know, like a pretty aggressive early game. Then, you know, Clem could slightly outplay, out micro, whatever you want to call it, Maru a little bit, and then even get the proper advantage, as MarineLorD said, in the mid game, like the 2K game I mentioned earlier. Hero Marine was like almost dead by minute 5 every single game. I think it was kind of depressing for Hero Marine. Once again, I think mentally, Hero Marine is like, okay, I already beat Rainer. I'm going up against Maru. I don't have anything to lose, but I'm also like not about to win this best of 5. I think he knew, you know, and once again, it does have an impact.
We don't get into the semifinals of a Premier tournament very often, though. Like, I understand everything that you're saying, and maybe Gabe thought like that, but you gotta push those feelings aside and almost make that Terran a barcode in your mind. Like, don't give a damn that it's Maru. Because, like, this is a pretty unique chance, even for Gabe. Gabe is great, but he doesn't play a whole lot of semifinals of Premier tournaments that are this stacked. Like, that's the wrong mindset, though.
I agree. I agree, it's the wrong mindset, but I still think that's how he sees it because of the way he thinks about the games, thinks about the game and the players in general.
Gabe is almost too honest and too real sometimes, right?
That's how I see it, and that's why I love him at the same time. I'm getting frustrated, but I like the honesty. You know, it's like.
I mean, are we talking about when he speak about his level or when he speak about balance? Because I don't know if I would describe.
The balance. No, I don't
take other subject.
Yeah. I don't take Gabe serious about balance. I do take him very serious when he talks about his own level compared to the players he goes up against. I think he's very.
That's very fair. That's very fair.
Yeah.
That's what
balance
I mentioned.
is ridiculous.
Like, that's what I'm talking about.
And also analysis after a game, whether he won or lost. We shouldn't take that too serious either. But when he just talks about strengths of people, then he's pretty good. Anyway, Maru was just too good in that TVT, and that brought us to grand finals. It was honestly a pretty damn good grand final, man. They also had a couple of really fun games. Maru, in the end, coming out on top after last year being the runner-up. This time he won it all, 4-2 against Rogue in the grand finals. Did you feel inspired, MarineLorD?
Kind of. It was some good games. The multi-side game was very good. It's a must watch. I was a little bit disappointed about the Oxide game, where I felt like Rogue was just went for a big gamble, and you could see it on this camera when he saw the SE scout. He was like, a little bit dead inside. You know, it was dead already. And the last game, I don't remember. It was pretty bad too. I think it was. I'm not sure of the map actually, but it was pretty bad.
Click on the eye, Cobra, so we can see the map order from Maru against Rogue.
Personally, I'm really happy that Rogue,
Oh.
because like in this series, I feel like whenever we won a game, they would show no emotion. The only real emotion you would see on their camera was whenever Rogue would lose a game. You could feel the I hate my life, I hate Terran so much. You could feel it. You know, if you were like, yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was great. I love Rogue.
Yeah, Rogue
Yeah,
is
the
a
light shade,
stone.
the light shade game
Go.
was Elbat push, which was a very wild one with CC first to 1-1
Oh
follow up.
yeah, yeah.
It was very weird and it worked very well. It felt pretty strong actually because even though he was killing him, there was a weird rain drop coming at the same time as he was killing him. And actually, I was surprised about the veto order. Like, Maru picked 2000 Atmosphere, which is considered a slightly Zag map. Rogue picked Blackburn, which is considered a Terran map, at least in Europe. And he left Jagannatha as last map, which was a little bit surprising to me.
Yeah, but I guess if you want to win the best of 7, you need to win 4 maps regardless, though. So maybe he just felt that if he can send it to a game 7, then he's gonna be fine. I think overall though it was a pretty damn good final. It was good to see Maru win. He seemed really happy with it as well. Felt really bummed about his GSL performance. They lost in the GSL, but he was very happy to win this one. I think the TLDR guys is that this really was a fantastic tournament to watch.
Yep.
As a StarCraft 2 fan, I think we're very happy that ASUS decided to rock another edition. They've been running this tournament for a very long time. Even at one point where it wasn't like globally, they were still doing something in Finland, but they've basically been doing it for the last 10 years. So all the love to ROG Nordic. Maybe the one change we can make is that if you win at least one series in your group, you do get some prize money. So we don't have a Solar battling his heart out till 5 a.m. As Cobra is showing us a little bit of the history of this event. It's been pretty cool, man, to know that they've been around for so long. I spoke with them too. I was like, you know what makes this tournament happen? They're like, oh, we like StarCraft and we like the tradition of how long we've been doing it, and we feel like we always get received well in the scene. I'm like, yeah, that's also because we have really good games, which, you know, it's you need some luck with it. Anyway, that was a pretty long review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Obviously, 2 big tournaments just wrapped up, and there is a lot of StarCraft still to come at the end of the year. Right now, actually, the DreamHack Master Winter Qualifiers are already going on. I think later tonight there is the NA Open Qualifier, so if you're in America and you have some hopes and dreams of qualifying, make sure to sign up for that. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. CET, you've got the European Qualifier, the second one. Sunday, you've got the Close Qualifier. Are you playing in the Close Qualifier on Sunday, Drogo? No, right? You made playoffs?
No, I'm already qualified.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I go far.
Show some
man.
respect.
Yeah,
I
some
go
respect.
far. I got
Just-
claimed because of you, you prick. Would have destroyed you in the loser bracket. Easy. Maybe not, but I like to think so.
All right, but yeah, that is happening, and then there are some other big tournaments coming up as well. But I think that's enough esports for now. Actually, no, we still have to talk about GSL real quick. Sorry, Cobra, I forgot about that. The GSL playoffs are going on. You guys can obviously find all the GSL action over at the YouTube channel. And in case you guys missed anything of ASUS, twitch.tv/ROG tournament. That's where you can watch the VODs. I don't think they put it on YouTube. And let's go ahead and scroll down into the playoffs. Funka, do you still cast GSL in French?
Now, well, ever since it got moved away from Twitch to YouTube, well, we can't do it anymore. So obviously, we're not casting it on our gaming. But I try to follow the results, but I usually don't watch. It. Like I've never been as bad as right now in terms of knowing the Korean scene, right? Like I try to do it. I try to do a little bit of a research before I go into cross-server tournaments, but I don't follow GSL that closely these days.
Well, we are very deep into the playoffs already, and I believe the upcoming days are like the 27th and the 29th. I think that's when the semifinals are, but Cobra can confirm that for us. And we can preview them real quick. Zes versus Rogue, Trap versus Cure. Drogo, Zes versus Rogue. Who's going to take it?
Probably Rogue, I would say. Historically, in these important tournaments, Rogue win these like all the time, and he just won ASUS ROG. Oh, no, he didn't win ASUS ROG, but in my heart he did, but he didn't. But he went all the way to the final.
Yeah.
So I would favor Rogue here.
Zes has been playing really freaking
Yeah,
good.
this is incredibly good. Like, not gonna lie, but I feel like he would need to surprise Rogue, like to win this one. Because if he plays the strat Rogue expects, I don't see this winning really.
Alrighty. MarineLorD, Trap versus Cure. Are we going to get a Terran in the final, or will Trap just do Protoss things?
I'm not sure. Like Trap just won pretty easily against Maru, and it was just very normal games. But he also lost some normal games against Gabe. And Cure, did you watch against Parting his games?
It was a 6 series.
It was just like some baboon shit all the time, and it was like working pretty well. Which was not surprising to me, like that baboon thing works against Parting. But it was just like, I don't know, if you can do that against Trap, it will be miraculous.
Yeah. I'm not sure really. This one is really hard to call in my opinion. It all depends. Like I have no idea what Cure is gonna do. If you follow the, if you follow the trail, he's gonna do some babu shit again, but maybe he won't. Maybe he'll do some other stuff. Cure is very creative, I feel like, in terms of current turn players. That's always a joy to see him play.
All right, well, I'm excited. It is indeed the 27th and the 30th, so not the 29th. Definitely watch it. Those are going to be best of sevens. I gotta say, I'm often a little jealous of Tastes and Itosis. Getting a full work day for one best of seven. Meanwhile, Roddy is sitting at home casting TSL 7, 4 best of sevens in a row. I'm like, this is 4 days of work for Tastes and Itosis, but the semifinals should be good. I'm honestly very excited to see them, and we'll definitely cover them by the time they are done. Once more, if you want to watch it, just type in GSL on YouTube, and you'll find everything you need there. And that is pretty much going to do it for all of our coverage. Now, in the old days, obviously, the Pylon Show, we always had one big topic that we talk about, or we talked about things we want to see. These days, we don't have too many updates of Blizzard, so going with that kind of stuff. And we can talk about for days what we want to see, but no one is really listening. So, yeah, we can speak our hopes and dreams of, but it's way more fun to just have a chitty chat and still just talk away. I do want to say, guys, there are new maps announced. But it's for Brood Wars, so don't get too excited. But
I was like, oh, okay, I missed something, but
I know.
Apparently
so
not.
we've got a little Q&A as well for our Patreon supporters. You guys can find the Patreon over at thepylonshow.com or underneath my stream. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about two other things. First up, I want to talk about Age of Empires 4. Because MarineLorD, I know you've been playing it a little bit over the weekend. You said yesterday to me you haven't played that much. But tell the people, should we be excited? Is it awesome? And did any of the other two guys play it?
Is it awesome? I'm not sure yet. Is it a good new RTS? Yes. Is it like StarCraft? No. I'm not sure actually. Like at the start, I didn't like it too much because I mean it's just a beta, right? So you didn't have like custom hotkeys. The interface was pretty bad to be honest. And overall, like the game, you don't have a lot of micro potential. The micro is pretty fun part because like in AOE2 and AOE4, you have 4 resources instead of 2, like on StarCraft 2. So like it's way harder to balance your economy overall in the game, which is a very important point. And the build order are so important. You need to be very crisp. You have a lot of knowledge to have because every civilization and race, which is like civilization in this game, are very, very different. So you need a lot of knowledge to play this game well. So if you expect a StarCraft, like a new StarCraft, a new competitor for it, probably not the case. But if you just want a new good RTS to play and have fun, I think it's gonna do the job.
Did you play Funka? Oh, Drogo, go ahead.
No,
I was gonna re-ask a question actually. I've seen MarineLorD answer on the stream, but I thought it was interesting. I've heard a bunch of AO2 players said that this game probably won't replace Age of Empire 2. And I thought it was kind of surprising that there's such a huge belief that Age of Empire 2 was like still the better game and it was gonna survive like the release of Age of Empire 4. So what do you think?
I don't know. AOE2 is very good right now. I would say they fixed some problems that Age of Empire 2 have in Age of Empire 4, but they still made it like way easier to play. So like you don't have any micro potential. You can kite, I guess, but that's the most basic thing you can do. You don't have anything else. Maybe some target fire, and that's it. In Age of Empire 2, you still have some good micro potential. And overall, like I don't know, like it's gonna be very different games. I think Age of 4 have very different civilization, more like StarCraft than Age of Empire 2. Like every civilization have a difference, but it's not as huge. So I'm not sure actually if they're gonna like it or not.
Okay.
Funka, have you played or have you watched?
No, I haven't played. I did watch MarineLorD stream a little bit. Personally, I'm not a fan of any non-Blizzard RTS. Like I've got that weird thing where I can play countless hours of Brood War, Warcraft 3, StarCraft 2, but the rest can, I just don't. I don't really get behind it. I see how Age of Empire 2 was a decent game and probably even good game. I didn't personally like playing it that much. I did because, like, with the remaster, there was a lot of different events that happened in the French Twitch community. So I did end up playing, and as MarineLorD said, like the build order part of Age of Empires is really sick. I don't know if you've played Roddy, but just being able. Yeah, sorry.
My only Age of Empires 2 experience in the history is me covering that Raynor and Serral show match with the Viper and the other dude. And I kind of learned and watched for the first time ever. And I could see why people like it, but a bit overwhelming at first because I'm kind of like you, Funk. I think RTS is kind of a bitch to get into in the first place, man. Like we know StarCraft through in and out, and you watch 1 second of a game, you know exactly what's up. But new RTSs, it honestly feels like I'm back in high school and I need to study again, man. It's so hard.
At least watching, I think, is interesting. The only problem I see as a spectator with Age of Empires is that the games are way too long. Like it seems like it's so hard to finish the game right away. You're not gonna have like, to my knowledge, you're not gonna have a 3-minute game or even a 15-minute game. It's gonna be a 40-minute game or something like that, which I think is an issue, right? But it is still interesting to watch. Like I've watched all the the free falls and stuff like that were organized by Zerator and the other guy I can't remember, Alpha, on Twitch, and it was really fun to watch because there's so much stuff happening on the map. Obviously, there's 8 players and stuff like that. Like it's interesting as an alternative, right? But if you go into 1v1, like then the thing is just a little bit too long. Interesting to watch, but a little bit too long as a spectator and as a player. Like the interface, I don't understand anything that's going on. It's like what there's like 10 million buttons. Like I just don't get it. So it annoys me as a player. It does take time. But I don't want to put that kind of effort into it because I love StarCraft, the franchise in general, just too much.
Yeah. You know, I actually didn't realize that Age of Empires 4 didn't have custom hotkeys because the default hotkeys are the grid hotkeys, which I use. So I was like, oh, neat, it's already in the grid. Fantastic. Woohoo. Why are people complaining? It's the best system. But yeah, personally, I think Age of Empires 2, it takes a long time to finish games sometimes, but also the beginning is kind of long. Like, really, it's pretty long, I think. They could use some 12-worker start, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, but they did that, you know. I mean, I'm not an expert at all, but I believe the Red Bull Low tournaments, I think they actually have a speedier version.
They sped up.
Oh, that's great then. Interesting. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, well, I covered that. Change. All right. Well, I don't know if you guys heard this, but I read a tweet and it made me kind of smile that apparently Vortex, after playing the opening weekend of Age of Empires 4, was second on the ladder or like on whatever ranking they had throughout the entire beta weekend. Do you know who he was behind?
I know, but I'm not gonna spoil for you.
Lucifron, his brother. Like those two are actually,
really?
Yeah, those two are the sickest, man. They're just, how are they so good in freaking everything they do? It's actually mental. That like they should be famous, and they're kind of like they are a little bit famous in our little RTS world. But these two, they should they should make a Netflix documentary about the freaking Moreno brothers and how everything they touch turns into gold, because it's actually insane.
Yeah,
they're good. I didn't play against them. I don't think they played the same because there was the first beta. Oh no, the first alpha, and then there was the beta. I didn't play the first alpha that was pretty long, and that's what they played. I just played the 3 or 4 days beta, and I did not meet them. But I meet a lot of. I meet Mixu.
How was Mixu?
Mixu beat me pretty easily, but you could see like his build order was like he had twice my economy in like so fast. It was pretty sad for me. Like I didn't stand a chance. And then I started playing better, actually, in the last 2 days. I started understanding and copying what the good players were doing. And then I was having a way better chance against most of them. But yeah, at the start, it was very hard because, yeah, you just start with the build order, you take wood when you don't need wood, and you did gold instead, and they just get, like, so far ahead very quickly.
Mixu, the Serral of Age of Empires 4. I can
Serral played too, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he played the alpha. He was actually in the ranking, you said. He was at top 25, like the last place. He played like 15 games, that's why.
So sick.
Yeah.
That's what I was about to mention earlier. One thing that I find really interesting, that's a major difference with Blizzard RTS, is that way of like gathering so many different resources and the fact that they are randomly spread around the map and stuff like that. So you do have to anticipate, scout it, do the transitions between one resource to another. I think it's really interesting. Like figuring out the way of doing what they call I think even in English, a boom, right? Like getting your economy like super, super hard in Age of Empires 2. was so fun for me. Like trying and figuring out how to do that was really interesting, and they had like some kind of tutorial in the game. So I did that, repeatedly, so I could do it in a free for all that I had to play in a couple days after. And this was interesting, but then like going into the game and starting a 1v1 and like trying to figure out what kind of unit he has so I can do the counter. I was like, that's too much information for me. So I kind of dropped there. But it is like something that's super different from Blizzard RTS that I find really appealing as a player.
Yeah, and also we haven't mentioned it, so I thought I would just say it really quickly, even if it's obvious. The one nice thing I like about Age of Empire 2, and also it happened again in Age of Empire 4, it's the mainstream appeal that it has compared to something like StarCraft. Because like my friends are not into RTS at all, like none at all. But I was like, hey, you guys want to play Age of Empire 4 this weekend? Like, oh yeah, sure. And then when I see him play, it's like, oh, I'm gonna get some archer. I know what an archer is. I'm gonna get a wall. I know what a wall is. I know what a trebuchet is. I know what the guy with gun does. Oh, this guy's on a horse. That's great. With these guys, I'm like, hey, yo, make some Colossus. They're like, what's a Colossus? What's the building I'm supposed to make to get this thing? Like, what do you mean? Like, there's at the very least some kind of, cultural artifact that they already know and can identify with, and that makes them want to play the game. Which typically, like other games that are like more out there, like the space stuff, it's not as obvious what stuff is what. So I think that's kind of cool in the sense it's gonna get a lot of mention.
It's the original RTS that a lot of people played because it's Microsoft and everybody had it on this PC or something like that. I know a lot of people played it. I mean, StarCraft is still huge. Like, I mean, Brood War was played by millions of people, but it's nothing compared to like the aura Age of Empire has.
Yeah.
Like, not in my household. Like, we were not playing Age of Empires at my house.
Guys,
like, we were playing any other RTS.
We still need to do a little Q&A, and I know some of you guys are on the clock, so we're going to speed it up. But last question, I think it comes out late October or early November, something like that. Drogo, you buying it?
Probably.
Funka, are you buying it?
Probably, yeah.
MarineLorD definitely buying it?
Yeah, I hope it's big, so I can play it a lot. Because right now I just play StarCraft because it's my job, but I don't really have fun. And in 4 days I had some fun on the AOE4, so I hope I can get some good content on it. Play it a lot.
If we remove Protoss, would you have more fun in StarCraft 2?
I mean, it will be a 2-race game, so probably not. It will not be very fun. And to be honest, like Age of Empire 4 is very quick, so that's a good part for a StarCraft player. Like, it's gonna be very fast-paced.
I might give it a shot as well, guys. Even though I'm gonna be so bad, man. I'm actually way too old right now to learn anything.
We'll do a best of 15, man.
Mate, you will probably 8-0 me. I'm really bad at every game I play until I played 1,000,000 hours, and then I get somewhat reasonable. But
we'll see you in 1,000,000 hours.
Yeah. We'll see. All right, Cobra, let's go ahead and take a look at the Q&A then, because I don't want to keep the boys here forever. Obviously, guys, there is a Patreon where you guys can support the Pylon Show. If you like it, there is a button underneath my stream, twitch.tv/RONM08, or just go over to thepylonshow.com, and there is a button there if you guys want to support our weekly talk show that wasn't so weekly in the last 3 weeks, but it will be weekly now for a long time. Let's bring it on. I see we have a question of Fear Dragon. Hi, everyone. Big fan of whoever the guests are for whenever the next show is. Quick question, who are the guests and when is the next show? Thank you. The biggest fan of the camera who's on the bottom right. Nice one, Cobra. Nice. All right, Ravi, thank you for your question. Thank you for the love. Thank you for supporting the Pylon Show. Next up, a question by Thomas. If you could choose a clothing theme for a major tournament, like how it's done in the GSL for each season, what style would you pick? Ooh, Drogo, you go first.
I have no fashion sense whatsoever. I don't know.
Yeah, but you're creative.
I like the color orange, so I would go with that. Just wear some orange t-shirts, and like the other guy can wear some blue, and that's it. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't have any fashion sense.
Do you have a?
I'm a fan of the old school styles that were in Korea, stylish jackets and sponsors and everything and stuff like that. I like what GSL is doing basically, but I like the old school ones. I think like the bomber jacket or something like that would be great, but it's not really interesting because it's not really new. Sorry about that.
MarineLorD?
I have no idea, man. Make it topless, I guess. So we bring more viewers thanks to Zest. That would be the best.
So sick.
Not a bad idea. I think it'd be fun to dress up like I don't know how the American gangsters used to have, like Al Capone, you know, with the khaki pants and the suit. That'd actually be amazing. Imagine everyone styling up like that, wearing little hats as well. So Yona will be in his element. I think that'd be kind of cool. 1920s, 1930s, I think it was.
Oh, it would look great. It would look like a true gangster.
Maybe we can get Max Pax to dress up as well, so we finally know how he looks. It would be fun. Next question by Alexander with a French-speaking cast. I can finally ask, is a Pylon male or female? How does the French language community generally sort of agendas for made-up things like Zerg and Protoss? And are all the units that don't clearly have one? Ray GSL outfits. I've always liked Regency, Napoleon era uniforms. All right. Funka, is a Pylon male or female?
A Pylon is male. It's un pylône. Yeah,
It's male,
it is un pylône, and I really like the rest of the question with the genders for Zerg and Protoss units, because we did have that discussion, that exact same discussion recently on the French broadcast, and it is kind of weird. Like, obviously we use the English words, so we'll have to do like a translation, like the proper English term at the beginning, and like do the translation in French and wonder what's the genre of that. So basically, like a queen is a reine, so it's female, right? Like she's a she. But then you've got Yogo, that's just the weirdest guy ever, and that will like say Mutalisk are she, Hydralisk are she, stuff like that. And I usually just use the male version. It's like un Mutalisk, un Hydralisk, un Zergling. It's like, I don't know. It's there's no real like answer to that, and obviously every time I don't really know, I keep on saying that usually Zergs are not supposed to have genres because they're not sexual beings, right? Like they hatch from an egg, so it's not like they're gonna have sex later. So you don't really like it's this weird conversation where you can basically say everything you want, but you have to know that Yogo is always wrong. Like if Yogo says the Mutalisk is a she, then it's the other way around.
It's actually quite funny that there's no real rules, and that it's pretty much like anybody decide what they want to call if the thing is male or female. The one thing I had the most debate with people on was with the probe.
Oh yeah.
For me, it's male. It's
no.
Un probe. And you guys think it's female.
It's
you
a
guys
she.
say
It's
une probe, and it makes no sense whatsoever. It sounds so bad. I know none of the viewers at home can relate to this, but
no, I think it's a funny discussion. And I'm trying to figure out. I think with a probe, like I would have gone with male first, but when you think about it, they build stuff and they make stuff, so then I would go with female actually. I don't know.
Yeah.
So does that mean that no, SCV is the problem? They are male.
SCV
like,
is a
see
male.
The player.
Yeah, you know it.
But they also build stuff. So
yeah, but
yeah, it's the funny thing, right? Because for some units, sometimes I don't mind both way. Like I hear both of them, they both sound right to me, so I just go with it. But yeah, like I guess for probe, sometimes I say the female way. But when I think about it, I think it's male. That's my take.
Yeah.
You should go to the next BlizzCon and just ask the guys, like when they sit on the panel, it's like, tell me the probe, what is it?
So going back to what I was saying, like probe is sonde in French, and sonde is just female. So I guess that's the reason I started saying une probe. You know. Like so you using the female version of it, like it's usually what you do. Like you try to take the translation and you use the genre that's used, the gender. I'm saying genre, but it's gender. So yeah, but it's weird. Like French is a weird language, man. Like it's just weird.
All right, thank you very much, Alexander, for the question. Next up, Polly. Additional to Alexander's question, do you have in French or Dutch a unit that you like more or fit better than the English one? Brood Run SC2. For me in German, in the Scourge is called Terror, and for the Zealot, Berserker. MarineLorD?
I'm trying to think right now, but I don't know.
Like, you know, it actually reminds me of pretty much way back then. I think it was on Millennium, right? Millennium really wanted the caster to use the French name for units because, like, it was just a thing. We use the French name for units. And it was just sounded hilarious to me. And ever since then, when we want to like have some laugh, what you can do, and really easily to make like a group of French player laugh, is just to say the name of the units in French. oh my god, he's pushing with Roach saccageur. Like everybody is just gonna laugh. Like, oh my god, he said the French name of the unit. That is just so funny. That's comedy gold. I feel like the English viewer can't relate to that. It just sounds so silly when you use a French name for the unit. Like genuinely sounds silly. But yeah, I don't think there's any unit when they use the French. Or maybe for the Stalker. I like saying tracker.
Tracker, yeah.
Tracker,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tracker sounds
Tracker
nice.
is nice. Faucheur, Tourmenteur. Yeah, there's a couple of units in StarCraft 2 that have like a pretty decent French name, I guess. And some casters occasionally said it in French. So yeah, it's not like you're losing people if you say the French name. But if you go into, like as you said, the Ravager is Saccageur in French.
Saccageur is fun. Yeah, it's fun.
It's I don't know. It feels a little weird, but I think the weirdest is the Baneling. Baneling is chancre, which is like a word we don't see. Committee gold, like he's fucking losing it, and it's like a word that you don't really use, right, in French, and it's like it's a weird thing, like a weird skin condition or something, like it's gross, right? So people don't say chancre, and then Yogo comes in because he was from Millennium, and he's like, oh, he's building the chancre building, and he's making a lot of chancre, and everybody's like, just Yogo, just say banelings, man, like they are banelings, like cut the crap. It's so funny.
I mean, on the Dutch part, I never even think about it. And even if you ask me to translate a lot of the names, I'd be like, I kind of know what it means, but I have no idea what the Dutch word for it would be. Because I never really read like sci-fi or fantasy books. Like I do read some books, but not those kinds of books. But I do remember a couple times talking with Harstem and Euthermal many years ago, and then we would sometimes translate unit names. And it just, I agree with you guys. It sounds freaking outrageous. Like, an immortal would be onsterfelijk or something. Ik heb onsterfelijk. You can't say that. Like it sounds honestly too silly to even begin translating. Like I'm like a phoenix. I mean, like if I think of a phoenix, I just think of a phoenix. But apparently it's phoenix in Dutch, which I guess makes some sense. But these are just not words that I ever use. So we keep it to English. In Dutch, it's honestly just for the memes. I know that Euthermal did it a few times, and DJ, for instance, the other Dutch Saren, he'd probably do it too. But I agree with you guys. It doesn't sound like anything. It doesn't even sound like the same thing, even if it is the same thing. You're like, no, you can't say that. It makes me feel like a proper nerd, like a way bigger nerd than I actually am when I translate the unit names. All right, thank you for that question. And next up, Cody Furious 87. Any excitement? It's good that you asked, mate, because I was already gonna ask Funka that. Any excitement for Diablo 2 remaster? Did you guys play back in the day? Any good memories of it? So, Funka, you go first.
Excited, yes. I don't want to, I do want to mention that in general, I'm a little bit annoyed with Blizzard in general and the state of StarCraft and the fact that they could, maybe add the maps that we selected months ago and stuff like that. But I'm still going to be, what we say in French, a Yankee, a client, reverse client. I'm just going to buy it, and I already did. And I will be playing at 5 p.m. on my stream because it's one of my origin story games, like it's Dune for RTS and then StarCraft Brood War. And then right after that, it's Diablo 2. And that's the thing I spent the most time doing in a mid-school. Like I was just going back from class and just playing. I love that game. I love the hack and slash genre in general. I've been playing a lot of Path of Exile recently. And I love Diablo 3 as well when it came out. And then I realized it was pretty much a shit game. But yeah, Diablo 2 is just like origin story for me. I absolutely destroyed my internet back then when it was like paid by the hour. I don't know if you had that in the Netherlands, but when I was 11 years old, we didn't have like as much internet as you want. And
I was always on the internet, and then my mom wanted to call one of her friends. She'd pick up the phone and be like, "No, she's not get off the internet." I'm like, "I'm sorry," and I'm just browsing the same website for freaking Pokemon cards. And my brother comes home, and he's like, "You're an absolute fucking idiot. This page is not even changing. You can just save it offline." And I'm like, "Oh, so then I could actually browse the same page without going to the internet." And I saved a bunch of money. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Go on.
Yeah, I started playing Diablo 2. I was like 12, and I played the single player at first, and then one day I had something that messed up my game in single player. So I was like, okay, let's click BattleNet, like let's click multiplayer. And that was the day that little Funka became a massive nerd, and I obliterated the internet at my home. Like we had 50 hours per month, and I think the first month that I tried it, I used like 35 hours. And my dad came to me and he was like, "You used a lot of internet this month. Like he used to do like his taxes or something online. We weren't using it at all." And then the next month, I think I like went over the 50 hours by like maybe 120 hours or something.
Oh my
So
God.
we
Oh,
paid a massive bill, like the most massive communication bill that my parent ever had. And the fucked up thing is that I met a kid that was a French guy on a random Diablo 2 game. We started talking, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm 12-year-old. I live like 20 kilometers away from you." He's like, "Here's my phone number. Let's talk while we play." And we had two lines in my house, so I could use my phone and be on the internet. So that second month I started playing Diablo, I had like 25 hours of communication with this guy and 100 hours over the 50 hours that we had at first. So it's like it ended up being like, I don't know, like maybe 1,500 euros. It was francs back then, but it was like 1,500 euros. My parents, they could have either like removed me from the computer whatsoever, and I wouldn't be here if that's what happens. But in the end, they were like, just don't use the phone, and we'll get a unlimited internet for thing the next month, and that's what happened. So I destroyed that game. I played so much, all the items. I did some trading, stuff like that. I lost my characters, lost all my items because there was a bug that you could use in PvP where you could make like all the items from the guy that you killed drop on the floor. So I lost everything and I was so mad. I did everything in that game. I played for maybe 5 or 6 years, almost without interruption. So super hyped.
Drogo, hyped? Did you ever play?
No, I don't play Diablo at all.
MarineLorD?
Mm,
I mean, I played it a lot as a kid. And I don't know, like I felt like the remaster, the beta was probably pretty good, but I think I played too much Path of Exile in my life to enjoy Diablo 2 again. I'm not sure if it's true. Maybe I should try, but I don't know. DreamHack is coming up soon, like in less than 1 week. So if I get hooked up, I'm not sure if I will practice StarCraft 2 a lot. So yeah, I'm not gonna play. I'm gonna watch Funka play a little bit to see if I enjoy it or not.
I absolutely love your story, Funka, first of all. I have never played, and I actually saw Loco tweet out earlier saying that he has never played either. And then someone said, I'm so jealous of you for never having played this, because then you're going to have a lot of fun. I am not a big all-around video gamer. I literally just play StarCraft and poker. That's all I do. But maybe now when DreamHack is going on, like I really hate playing StarCraft ladder during DreamHack, because I don't want people to watch my ladder games while DreamHack is going on. You know, it's almost silly. Maybe I'll give Diablo a little shot. Like I do know a story. I don't want to mention who this story is, but you guys can be creative. Of someone that played a lot of Diablo. He was a Warcraft 3 player. He was a very good StarCraft 2 player as well. And then apparently, like what you just said, Funka, that kind of happened. Like this guy made a friend, and that friend had really sick items. And then he basically became really good buddies with him, and he talked on Skype for months. And they went on adventures together until this dude trusted the StarCraft 2 player, and then the moment that we were in an area where the StarCraft 2 player could stab him in the back, he did. He killed him and he took all his items. And then the other guy was devastated. He's like, "What? What did you do? I thought we were friends." And then he's like, "Sorry, there are no friends in Diablo." And it took him months to get to this. Yeah, it's one of the sickest things I've ever heard. I don't know the exact details. I don't think I told the story perfectly, but the TLDR is he literally softened this guy up for months until he had an opportunity to stab him in the back.
That's so bad. Oh my god.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty disgusting as well, but I also couldn't help but laugh. And maybe I'll give it a shot.
It's fun. It's fun.
I
mean,
will not.
Yeah, it is a good game. I mean, it's well written. It's fun. If you like hack and slash, it's like there's billions of monsters. There's the bosses, and then you've got the loot. Like you gotta be interested in the loot. Like having the proper items, they drop on the floor, and you're like, oh my god, I hope it is good. And then you identify it, and it's crap, and you're like, okay, let's go again. It's not the most smart game of all time, but it is pretty. Yeah, like you get your head into it, and you wanna play more. You wanna try out different characters, different builds. I mean, it was a great game for back then. I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy it as much as I did as a kid. Probably not. But when it came out, it was just the best shit that ever happened to me.
I just hope they did a slightly better job than they did with Warcraft 3 Remastered, and then I might give it. Give it a shot.
Not gonna be too hard.
Well, we're not gonna talk about that, guys. That is one of the
let's
biggest
not do that.
fiascos of all time. All right, do we have anything else, Cobra?
Actually, I think that's the last one. Oops, I didn't mean to pull that.
Oh, Funka! Funka, what is this?
That's all the Patreon Q&A, though.
What the hell? You guys didn't tell me about that.
I think there's someone
I
else.
like the
Sorry.
title of the Reddit thread as well. Never meet your heroes.
Was it a Reddit thread?
Yeah.
I didn't even know. What the fuck? I didn't even know. I had
like,
to.
you didn't
I
say
had to
anything
say
very
something.
bad, so I was a little bit confused. Like, I mean, you were a little bit bad manner, but it's fine, I think.
I did say that he had no skill whatsoever. I guess
But it's true. He played Arthos.
Well, I mean, he camped, made shield batteries and cannons, and then waited for an army that could literally A-move me. So I was a little bit mad, just a little,
Looking back at it, could you have handled it a bit better?
Oh, definitely. But I still think I'm a better RTS player, and I still lost, so that makes me annoyed, But yeah, that's the thing. That's why I usually don't play StarCraft. Like I've just took some perspective about StarCraft, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna stream it anymore. It makes me too mad. And yeah, sometimes I go back to it because I'm like, yeah, I'm too bad. I'm really too bad, and it's good content for a stream in general.
You're not that bad though, Funka. You're like in the 5K still, right? Like 5,
yeah, no, I'm not 5K right now. I'm 4.7, I think, but I haven't been playing. Like I played 100 games.
Funka versus Coca,
or
not Coca, Coco.
Like a year.
Have you
versus Coca. We played a bunch. I still haven't lost to her. I'm happy, but I got cheesed quite hard. I got a cannon rush one time, and I got the DT blink something that she does. And I was like, what the hell is this strategy? It's so bad. I'm going to hold it so easily. And then the DT's blink. I'm like, I'm going to lose. I'm going to freaking lose. So I go back to my main, and I ended up defending because like a 8 marine drop killed 35 probes at the opposite side.
That sounds like a Coco game. Hey, Coco did get brought up with that build, so you better be careful, mate. Speaking of streaming then, before we wrap it up, and I'm going to kiss you guys goodbye. Drogo, you've been streaming quite a bit, and I actually saw that you have a little goal as well, saying that you're going to go kind of full-time streaming after DreamHack Master Winter. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, if it's worth it, if I just stream a bunch and I'm not entertaining the people, well, I won't. But it's pretty much like the real reason, to be honest, is before I could never really stream a lot of time because I was kind of like Funka. I have too much misplaced ego in general, even in stupid ladder games. So when I lose and I'm streaming, and I know I could have played better if I wasn't streaming, I'm gonna get really upset at myself, and then I won't want to stream the other day. It's been a lot better recently, but also the real reason I really wanted to push for it is that right now, if with the online tournaments, even though I don't think I had bad result in 2020, and this year is still going on, but I feel like, it could have been much worse this year in terms of result. It's still not making as much money as before. So I feel like right now, if I want to persevere as a StarCraft 2 personality, I should just start streaming. As I think I have a huge personality and I'm incredibly entertaining, I should use these two qualities of myself to just go for it. But it takes a lot of work, but right now it's just for fun, a little bit. So I'm not like, oh my God, huge announcements. But, yeah, that's it really.
I mean, as long as you're having fun with it, like you said, that's the most important thing. And I know you were joking there, but I do think you have a great personality to stream. And I think a lot of people definitely could use some more Drogo memes in their life. People on the internet are always so sad and frustrated. Imagine if you have a daily Drogo stream to look forward to. I mean, I won't complain.
That'd be swell.
Maybe. But yeah. Why do all of these French players have so much echo? You, guy in the chat, if you want to be my sound engineer to help me have a better microphone, please do. Please, for the love of God. This stuff is so hard. Help me. Help me, my friend.
There is opposite Zelda, mate. There's two things he loves in life. That's politics in his chat and microphones.
Oh.
Lovely.
All right.
Do you have some more memes for us, Cobra, or this is it?
I can just go through PitiDrogo's Twitter. I mean, like, how long do we have? Like...
Yeah. This
That's the obvious one, yeah.
This one doesn't
Giga
count.
Whenever Showtime posts a picture right now, I just kind of reply to him on German. I'm like, oh, he's so cute. And I get a whole bunch of likes on these comments as well on Insta. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go because I know that Funka is excited for Diablo 2. I think we did a lot of esports chatting today. Next week, we'll make it a little more generic, guys. But one more time, the DreamHack qualifiers are going on. All right, that's actually my final question for all three of you guys. Name one player that's going to qualify for the DreamHack Masters Europe that has never qualified before. Drogo, you go first.
That's hard.
Wait, can I say nobody?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I don't think anybody new is gonna qualify this
Really?
tournament. Sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna go for the boring prediction.
That's fine. That is indeed very boring, but it's totally okay. Funka, who's going to qualify that has never qualified before?
Dude.
Oh wait, no, I
Who
thought you
could it
meant for
be?
the global final. I'm sorry.
No,
No,
he
for
means
Europe. The
He
top
means
32
Okay,
of
yeah,
Europe.
okay, no.
Give a name. Let's go.
Okay, let me look quickly.
But I'm not sure
Quick.
actually. Did Aquaron ever make it, for example?
Who?
Yeah, Aquaron did it. Aquaron did
Yeah,
it.
Aquaron has qualified
Okay.
last year, yes.
Yeah, I would have said King Cobra, but King Cobra also did it. So, but I was
Claim he's
looking
scared of
through
him.
it
He told me
yesterday.
he's scared.
Dude, of course he's scared every time he loses a game. Like he's
Especially
even on
because
the
he would be
border of losing
a seed
set
8,
3.
which is a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, it's adding something super dangerous to the group. Dude, I would need to have a list, right? Like
I
mean-
think I can lick it really quickly from the
I
list
had
of
a
players
tier
that
list of
played
players.
the last qualifier. Looking at the name really quickly, I'm gonna do a prediction that's gonna please you, Rotti. I'm gonna say maybe, probably not, but maybe Baby Marine.
Ooh,
Really?
that'd
I would
be
say no.
awesome.
Who's
Little
better?
Oh,
Baby.
Who's better that has never made it in StarCraft 2 than Baby
For
Marine?
Julie and
Did
Battle B, I
Battle-
think.
Did Battle B? Yeah, I was about to
Unfortunately,
say
I think
Battle B.
Oh, Battle B has never made it in. Then
No.
maybe
Battle B
Battle
didn't
B.
do
Yeah.
it.
Battle B is a better name. Then I thought it did once.
No,
but
never qualified.
No,
I
I
think
don't think
For
he
Julie
did.
did very well last season. He almost made it. So maybe
Yeah.
this time.
Yeah, my new
Hey, he's
prediction
al-
is Battle B then.
He's
Okay.
already qualified for the close qualifier.
Yes.
Both of them actually, Battle B
Yeah.
and for Jumi. I think Battle B has a decent shot. I guess it's interesting that he hasn't qualified yet. I mean, King Cobra did, so I mean there's room in the bottom of
King
the
Cobra
top
has a much
32.
bigger brain, mate. Come on now.
He has a
Cool.
bigger brain. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. Maybe he does.
What about
He does
Kaiji,
have a
guys?
massive brain.
Do we
KG
believe
made
in
it.
Kaiji?
KG made it once. I remember.
No, zero
Oh,
chance.
You sure?
No,
Zero
no,
Make it
chance.
once? Okay, no, actually,
Who's
I
KG?
Never.
lied.
no. His
Who's
job is
Kaiji?
just to cheese Protoss player and then just lay down and let someone else qualify. I'm still salty, man. He beat me only once in my life, but I'm still so salty about this best of 3. I
Diablo was
can't
sad
believe
too.
it's such a weird profile to have. To be like, yo, I have such sick ZVP cheese. I can beat any Protoss in the world, but then everything else is too hard. I don't know. You don't really see any other player like that. It's quite interesting.
He's also
Maybe
like Max
Livy can
Facts.
make it. Right, Roddy?
Oh,
He never made
Livy,
it, I
yeah.
think. Yeah,
Livy on the European server, guys?
Yeah. I think.
Kiji is Kij or whatever. Okay, you pronounce it Kiji.
Kaiji. Yeah,
Kaiji,
most people
okay.
say Kaiji.
Okay. Okay, like, I never knew how to actually pronounce it, so I was like, who the fuck are we talking about?
Dangerous baboon.
Now I see. Yeah, the dangerous guy. The guy that makes hatcheries in Lilbo's face.
Yep.
I like it. I like it.
What a
I
rivalry.
like it.
It was amazing.
All right. Well, guys, that's going to do it. Let's get some shout-outs in a way then. First off, I think Cobra already had Drogo's Twitter open. Normally, I don't really care about promoting Twitters, but that is one Twitter that you probably do want to follow. Drogo, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day.
Yeah.
Hopefully you enjoyed your stay on the Pylon Show. And do you have any final words?
Yeah, final words. You guys can follow me if you want. I just got recently recruited by Altar Strategy Club. So give a guys a look. Well, I'm the only player on their team, but the project eventually is to have just a bunch of good RTS players in a wide variety of game. So I think it's gonna be a cool thing to look out for. And follow me on Twitch because now I'm gonna stream more than once a month. So surely you don't want to miss that. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. Funka, I know that you had a busy day and I know you're excited to play some Diablo too, but thank you so much for making another appearance on the Pylon Show. Any final words?
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. Sorry about the last time. I didn't see your message until a little bit too late. It's always nice to be here. I love talking about StarCraft. Still a game that passionates me a lot, even though I can be frustrated, and I'm sorry for the Protoss player that I whined a little bit on. And obviously, I hope Blizzard someday like, I don't know, just steps it up a little bit. I feel like ESL is doing a good job. DreamHack, we know that the people that are there are still passionate with the game, and obviously it seems like they can't do exactly what they want to do because Blizzard is not answering a little bit. So that makes me a little bit sad, and I hope it changes. I hope it changes soon because there's still a lot more StarCraft to be played, I think. But we need new maps, and we need like somebody that hears our concerns. That'd be nice.
And then we could actually talk about stuff that we want to see happen to StarCraft as well on the Pylon Show, because maybe we could make a difference.
We will.
Thank you,
we
Funky.
will.
How's Smash Bros. Going, by the way? I know you're passionate about that game too.
Dudes, hey, it's kind of crazy, but I feel like it's the best game I've ever played. Like, honestly, it is the best game I've ever played.
What's your main right now?
I play Falco. You know, the bird.
Dude, everyone plays Falco.
He's the swaggiest. Is the swaggiest.
You are the Protoss
character.
of Super Smash Bros.
No.
Yes.
MarineLorD, can you interject there?
You have Mars and Cheek.
Falco is Terran, bro. Falco is Terran.
Yeah, it's Terran.
No.
It's like,
Dude, I'm telling you.
Oh, there if you want. But yeah, it's pretty easy skill. You need to be fast. I mean, especially Fox. It's very like APM, EV.
And you get comboed. And you get comboed like crazy.
My name's Funka. I play the most skilled character in every single game I play.
I'm sorry, bro, but that's how it is.
And actually, when I was a kid, I was pretty good at Smash, and I played every character. But when I came back to it recently with Funka and Coca, and I don't play much actually. I just play like very rarely, but I'm decent at it because I was good as a kid. I just played Mars because I know like I want to play Protoss now. Let's go.
Yeah. That's what he keeps telling me. He's like, okay, the next game, dude, I'm going to pick the Protoss of that game. Like, instantly, I'm going to look for a race that is kind of like Protoss, and I'm going to use it. But yeah, watch some Smash. It's amazing. I'll be casting a tournament in English this weekend. A French major that's happening on Super Smash Bros. Melee, and we'll be casting in English with Coca. So yeah, I love this game. It's so fun. The competitive side. It's like the game that gets me the closer to the StarCraft experience, right? Like, it's super skill based. It's super interesting. The scene is like 1 million years old. There's so many players that are interesting to watch. It's just like you can have a bad day like in StarCraft and have like shitty technical skill, and you're not gonna have a good time. But the day you're gonna be playing crisp, you're gonna have a good time. So yeah, love this game. Love Melee.
And last but not least, we have our French Terran, MarineLorD. Thanks again, mate. I know you're not very fond of it, but you definitely saved this to make it an all-French Pylon show. Thank you so much for showing up. Any final words?
Wish me good luck for DreamHack. And I will stream a lot when Age of Empires 4 comes out in 1 month. So follow my Twitch, I guess, if you're interested in this game. And then, yeah, no, I know I'm just going to play StarCraft and some Age of. That's it.
What's your Twitch?
MarineLorD, just MarineLorD. Yeah.
All right. It's good it's not MarineLorD SC2, otherwise you couldn't stream Age of Empires 4.
Yeah, I guess. MarineLorD was taken on Twitter, I think, when I tried to make it, sadly.
All right, guys. I wish all of you obviously all the best in your upcoming projects. If you guys want to know more about the Pylon Show, just take a look at our website. This episode will obviously be posted on our YouTube channel too. Just type in the Pylon Show on YouTube. We hope you guys enjoyed it. The last 2 weeks have been absolutely crazy for me with basically a 17-day trip in Sweden. And since I came home, I be very busy, been a bit stressed out, but next episode is going to be very chill. I had a lot of fun with this one, though. Plenty of StarCraft to look forward to, guys. Not just the DreamHack qualifiers, but obviously GSL in less than a week, basically the first one. And after that, we've got a few more big tournaments that are coming. I'm sure they will be announced soon. And I will continue my journey on trying to get Apollo on the Pylon Show so you guys can ask all the questions you want to ask to Apollo. That's basically going to be a Q&A for 2 hours because we've been working on this for so long. He's in England right now. He said he'll be back soon. And then, without travel, he will be on the Pylon Show. Well, his word is as good as mine. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully see you next week for another edition of the Pylon Show. Ça va, et toi? Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Salut.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.